All right.
All right, we're live.
Okay.
You can
Uh.
go. You can go on.
Oh. Okay. All right. I was gonna say. It's. In regards to like actual elections and affecting things. This is. We're. I kind of. Well, I actually overwhelmingly agree with you. We really should adopt the method of hey, of not hey, this guy isn't cutting it. So we
Mm.
need to completely give the opposition, who is staunchly more uh,
Extreme.
extreme and almost to the point of at this point almost to the point of we do not consider anybody that isn't an American uh, human. So
Yeah.
we that's that has to stop. That is a I mean not stop, but we need a lot more nuance because it can't just be oh this guy isn't cutting it. We'll give it to the worst option possible. That should not be the default in my opinion.
And
Right.
unfortunately, that's what's happened. I mean, that's what happened with the 2024 election. Like you said, a lot of incumbents lost because everyone around the world was just, I guess, because of COVID and everything else and the inflation, they thought things were a lot worse, whereas things had gotten better. And because of that perception of reality, a lot of people just simply voted out the people who are in charge, regardless if they're right wing or left wing. They voted them out, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
not as simple as that. And I wish people like it. Again, I always go back to this, but it's hard for me to just show someone the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in 2024 and them coming away like, gee, I don't know which one I want to vote for. Like, it's hard for me. It's like, okay, what part of that can you do? What do you see where you can't determine the difference between them, and then go down from there and just see where their mind's at, you know?
no, I agree. Well, it's I think I said it last night when we had when we had talked about how I don't consider Hassan Piker and the DSA a huge enough problem to be concerned about. And we talked about how the influencers they talk in such a way that sensationalizes uh, some of these people. Like last night when you asked our little friend about the corporate Democrats, and it showed
Yeah,
you, people that are your favorites are the corporate Democrats, and the others aren't even corporate Democrats. They're just
yeah,
old,
yeah.
and
So,
because and I was and I was just like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I could have told you that. That's why I keep saying it. There aren't any corporate Democrats. Not since Obama's second term. There haven't been. Maybe even his probably more likely his first term. Most of the corporate Democrats became Republicans. Specifically, they became Bush Republicans and or John McCain Republicans, and
hmm
they have been kicked out. They have been kicked out of the Republic Party. They got kicked. Some got kicked out. Others left the Democratic Party during Obama's first and second term because, well, less second term, but more first term because they did not like a black man having that much power. They just could not accept that
yeah,
idea.
hmm
So they are so they're at a point where they go, I'm gonna join the Republicans. And then 6 months later, what happens? We have, I think it was like a special election, which then flipped a bunch of state houses, turned them red, and then the GOP took over the House and then refused to pass some of Obama's most progressive legislations.
hmm
And and the ones that they did pass were bare bones and watered down to where the GOP can go, okay, this satisfies our corporate donors and it makes
hmm
Obama much more weaker than what he is right now.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And
if you notice, oh, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
oh no, I was going to say about the whole corporate Democrat thing about how that definition has definitely been thrown around by the far left a lot to
Real quick,
delegitimize. Oh, good, yeah.
I just have to be accountable here. and Jamal knows I used to misuse that term all the time. I just had to say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay.
I
and
used to I used to intertwine corporate Democrat with moderate Democrat.
Yeah,
yeah, and a lot of people, it's all word. I don't want to say word salad, but you got establishment Democrats, corporate Democrats, moderate. It's all to the far left. They use all of those terms almost interchangeably, where they kind of have lost some of their meaning, and that's more so how they use it to
yeah,
say. And basically, anytime they say that, it's like you said, is usually a Democrat who's been in office a long time, who has, I probably like 1%, 3% of the time they work with Republicans. And of course, the last part, the biggest part that they always push, like Evan's friend Abdul Al Sayed,
Mm.
is how much money they get from different organizations and corporations. That's pretty much where that line of attack comes from. But then when you look at their voting records in Congress, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny at all. A lot of the Democrats support a lot of what Joe Biden is. Joe Biden was, by Bernie Sanders, even said that he was the most progressive president of his lifetime. So
he was.
every single Democrat that supported Biden's legislation can be considered progressive because they helped push that. So that's the thing. Like I wish they were more honest about how, okay, yeah, they get these donations, but that doesn't mean they're going to vote a specific way. Like, I don't like how Abdul Al Sayed always says that, oh, Haley Stevenson hasn't done anything for Michigan people. She's sending money for Israel. Like, she voted for all of Joe Biden's legislation. So it's kind of hard for me to believe what he's saying when she's definitely supported legislation that has benefited people in Michigan.
Yeah, it's even it's I won't say it's interesting, but it's not even it's not even that they just say these things willy nilly. Their own favorites would off the have come out of come out of the woodwork. Their new internet darling, Zoran Mandani, is,
Hmm.
bro just had to tell them chill out,
Yeah.
because it's just like, listen,
Yeah.
you know, uh, you, you could throw some of the most old guard Democrats, Chuck Schumer, uh, Nancy Pelosi's not in Congress
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh, I'll just I'll just pick a few names: Chuck Schumer. Uh, what
Chris
is it? His
Murphy.
name is Chris Murphy. He's that's a capitalist Democrat, mind you. Uh,
Uh,
and one more name is slipping my mind. It's not that important, but the point of the matter, you could throw all those into one bowl, and they'll still be further to the left than any Republican in
oh
Congress
yeah.
right
Oh
now.
yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
And you look at their voting records. You look at their voting records. No amount of buzzwords is going to change their public voting records. Not all of them are public, but the ones that are tell you exactly how these people how they vote and how they move. That should be more than enough to give you a general idea of who is who and who isn't.
Yeah.
And and it's it doesn't bother me per se, because thankfully majority of the party is relatively illiterate and understands who can who who is the real adults in the room. They might be old, but they're the adults in the room, because they like to attack Hakeem Jeffries for not meeting his moment, and I'm like, y'all kicked all the Democrats out of power. What fucking moment are they gonna meet? All they have is social media. All they have
Yeah.
is social media
I
and
get.
strongly worded letters.
I
Right.
think that's what they want them to meet them at, is the social media part. But to play not devil's advocate, but to give Hakeem Jeffries some credit, that's not really his job. His job is to whip up votes for legislation in the House and everything, and that's pretty much where his power lies at. Now, the whole thing about social media and Dems being better at messaging, I think that's more on the DNC to organize and make sure is effective enough at letting people understand that, look, there is people can use whatever buzzwords, buzz terms they want, but our Democrats are pretty progressive, right? Get that messaging through, or don't let the MAGA conservatives run away with telling us that. For the longest, every single MAGA conservative says that we had open borders during Joe Biden's presidency, when that wasn't even remotely true. There are people to this day who think
quite the opposite.
Yeah, very opposite, right? And it's like, if you look at Obama, like Obama was very strict on border policy, but he also opened pathway up for people to have citizenship through DACA and other programs and
Obama
everything.
was called the border. He was called the border in chief because he was
the border
very strict. He was very strict.
He was. And then you have Biden coming in after COVID. And the thing with COVID is that people don't understand is a lot of those things were put on hold. I think there was some policy that Trump implemented that prevented us from processing claims. But then once that policy went away, it was like a flood of people trying to come in through the border and everything and have their asylum process. So they did come in at a higher rate, but it wasn't because like Biden like opened the door and said, all right, come in, here we go. Here's all our welfare, our SNAP benefits, everything you can have. It's like, no, it's not the case. And it's just so weird to me. And also how they think we can't do two things at the same time. Yes, we have to spend government money somewhere on immigrants and stuff like that, for judges, for people at the border, for, all this sort of stuff. But we also can spend money here to help Americans. It's not, Democrats are not one or the other. They're like, okay, do what we can to help who we need to help. And I think that messaging gets lost because, again, Dems just say, hey, let the legislation speak for itself, when they should be the ones speaking for,
I agree.
In everything. Don't let MAGA conservatives, don't let Hassan Piker define what the Democratic Party is. Like, don't let the people who are against us, define what our messaging is. And that was my concern last night. Was
I know.
Yeah.
I got what you were saying last night, but I think you were not. I think you weren't completely until the very end. You weren't exactly understanding what I was pointing out here. Is that the people in which you're concerned about will see themselves out, and that's what I was trying to say.
Oh yeah,
the people you're concerned about will see themselves out. Most of the DSA candidates will either learn how to effectively navigate Congress, like AOC and Zohran Mandani have been able to do, or they will isolate themselves and become a pariah for their own constituents because they cannot get these proposed legislations and subcommittee seats to pass those pieces of legislation without a speaker on your side. Because if the speaker's on your side, it'll see the floor vote. Whether it passes or not is up for you and your ability to work with others. Above that, the speaker will bring it to the floor. You need the speaker's participation to do anything. There's a reason why Mike Johnson is struggling to pass these things. There's a reason why this version of Congress has not effectively passed anything, and Donald Trump has been ruling by executive order, which most of them have been defeated in court. There's a reason. You cannot run Congress with one person, and the speaker controls damn near everything. They are one of the most powerful people in the government for a reason. And Mike Johnson is both simultaneously bad at his job and at the same time consequential because Mike Johnson does not have a spine.
Oh no, he doesn't. I think
he's
people
an ineffective representative in Louisiana in his district, and he's an ineffective House Speaker.
I think people just forgot how we had what was it, Kevin McCarthy, and bro, it was I don't know how many votes before they finally agreed, and then just because he wouldn't go along with everything Trump wanted to do, they kicked McCarthy. Or no, it wasn't Trump. No, it was before Trump even got in. It was just.
It was okay. She got him fired.
Okay, yeah. So he got kicked out the party, and then he put in Mike Johnson. The things Mike Johnson probably had to concede behind closed doors to get that seat is a lot of the reasons why we're seeing him just lie on camera. He's sending them home early. He's so afraid of the revolt that will happen against whatever legislation they bring to the floor. He's an ineffective speaker, and that's partly by design. So now you got Trump trying to rule by executive, but now he's finding that you ruling by executive is not going his way like he thinks it. I mean, some things he's
Yeah.
been able to get away with, like listen, the cuts on USAID, that being shut down is awful. Rolling back regulations, all this other stuff. Sure, he's been able to hurt, but those things can be reversed. I don't think
Those things will be reversed.
Yeah, those things
Like,
can definitely be.
there's a reason why when Joe Biden became president, we saw such a large amount of executive orders almost immediately. There is a
Oh yeah.
reason. All of what Trump did got reversed. Almost everything.
Yep.
The ones that didn't get reversed, to my knowledge, was because they were also pushed by the Democrats at the time. And
Mhm.
at the time, Donald Trump had enough people willing to tell him no that they were able to
Guys,
make him seem less,
Yo,
insane.
yo.
sorry to cut you off.
No, go
We
ahead.
have a we have a kick commenter, the verbal conservative. I'm not sure
Oh
which
Lord.
part they were responding to because I didn't see it when it immediately happened, but they said Congress has been inept for more than a decade. We can't even pass a budget.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
I know. I know what he's talking about. He must be talking about the reconciliation bills and the just the budget to keep Congress open. That
oh
in
yeah, keep
itself
the
is
government open. Yeah.
that that's not that's not that's not entirely just uh how to word this. Okay, so the people that keep kicking it down the can are the Republicans.
Mhm.
It's true. If you look at a lot of the clean bills, they get diluted due to the Republicans. And I get it. You're a conservative, so it might not be worded in such a way you'll be able to not understand. You'll be able to acknowledge. But look at it like this. Um, the Democrats introduce a clean bill just to keep the government open. Republicans then reject that bill and try to push small things into that bill that they know either dilutes the clean bill or at the very least has much more corporate donor leaning pieces of legislation involved. Democrats say no, so then they both agree to kick it down the can. That's not a mark of a compromised government or a compromised Congress or an inept one. That's the mark of not enough votes to get things not enough votes to get things over the ledge that it needs. You need 50 to pass a budget bill. You need 50 to pass you need 51, which is simple
Mhm.
majorities to pass
Mhm.
these clean CRs and these defense bills.
Yeah.
Uh,
Basically, what Jamal
if they
said.
keep saying no, then the only other choice is to kick it down the curb. That's not an inept government nor compromised government. That's honestly compromise, a bit worse version of compromise, but compromise nonetheless.
We have a
And,
uh, we have a
and
cool
just
chat. We have a cool chatter today. They said can acknowledge our part. It's really why you are seeing more and more EOs. Um, he said I believe he meant to, or they have meant to say I've been alive for a while. Last time we passed a budget was in the 90s.
well, they always pass a budget though, right? Like they're at a
Yeah,
certain
it's
point,
uh, it's
they
not
yeah.
it's not a full budget that covers the next 2 years. So I mean, I agree. I agree that we haven't passed a much more cleaner budget that lasts more than 6 months because we haven't. But that's almost entirely due to the opposition. We need to acknowledge two things: the Democrats and the Republicans both should always be doing more. They should. We need to acknowledge that, but we also need to acknowledge that uh, uh, we can't get shit done if there's always opposition. There was a form of, for example, there's a form of Medicare for all that has been in the subcommittee for damn near 60 years. and it is because the current body of the subcommittee has been held by uh, we're talking old school GOP who just don't want Medicare for all or just a single payer insurance that's for the public
Hmm.
available. It's
Yeah.
been that way for damn near 60 years. It has been sitting in the subcommittee for 60 years. Every time the Democrats bring it forward, the Republicans vote against it. Right now, for instance, the SAVE Act has been sitting in the Senate for for more than 60 days. Here's a history lesson. Historically, if a bill has been sitting in the Senate for damn near 60 days, it will never see the light of day. It's dead.
Yeah, the last thing they said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can. I get you.
And can you guys see the comments on the screen?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can.
I can.
I can pull
Yeah,
it. I can pull it up.
yeah, last thing they said
It might need
was,
to be bigger, though.
wouldn't that be the last or wouldn't that be the best place to wouldn't that be the best place to start to heal? Like they
Yeah,
were
and
I agree.
yeah, I
I
agree. And
agree.
even and to add to what Jamal was saying is also if you look at a lot of what Biden did during his term, he was able to pass a lot of legislation. He didn't have to rule from the executive. He was able to pass the infrastructure bill. He was able to pass the IRA. He was able to pass the CHIPS Act. There was a lot he was able to do, and he had a split Congress, right, where we had a simple majority in the Senate, but not so much in the House. So
We
he
didn't
was
have a
able.
we. Oh, I hate to correct you, but we did not
No,
have a
correct me.
simple majority. We had a split in Congress. It was fifty
Split. My
fifty.
bad. My
Oh,
bad.
go ahead.
Split. There you go. There you go. And that's where Harris Clinton said that she's passed the most tie-breaking votes of any VP because of that split that was in Senate. But you're absolutely right. But yeah, so it's just a different form of you when you have leaders who have worked in Congress, who know how government works, and who have built relationships with senators and people across the aisle. They're able to more effectively get legislation done. Unfortunately, right now we don't have that. Trump is not interested in reaching across the aisle and getting legislation passed. He didn't even want to pass the bipartisan bill about building more houses and preventing private equity firms from buying up housing. It
Yes.
was made so he let it pass, but he didn't sign on it because he vetoed it. But since 2/3 Congress like, nah, we want this. That's what ended up happening. So that's the difference that a lot of people need to pay attention to is not just their charisma, but also their ability to understand how government works, how to work with other people across the aisle, and get legislation passed that we need. That's the important part. So Congress can work together. It's just when they do work together, it's mostly especially when you talk about bipartisan legislation, it was under Biden more so than it was under Trump. And in order for us to heal, I think that's going to take more than just passing good legislation. I think we can't just move on and say that, oh, well, bygones let bygones be bygones with how much corruption has been in the Trump administration. I'm not saying that the next president needs to be like a vengeful, person who wants retribution, but we should get some truth and reconciliation. We should get some answers. We should see people face consequences for how they've abused the systems and abused the power that they had during Trump's administration. So that is one way that we have to heal as a nation is we can't just let these people who have damaged our country, damaged Congress, damaged people's trust in our elections, everything else, just get away with everything. And that's how you start to heal. For the ones who want to reach across the aisle, that's different. But anyone that's involved with this administration who's just sit back and let it happen, it's just going to take a lot more than just good legislation. It has to be some sort of accountability across the board, for us to move forward as a country.
Big
Yeah, I agree.
facts. Um,
Uh,
he
oh no,
said
go ahead.
true Reagan was able to sit down with a drink. I can't read today. This is horrible.
Ugh.
True. Reagan was able to sit down with a drink with Tip O'Neill. That's how the 80s amnesty bill was passed and signed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
You know,
this is the coolest conservative I've talked to all week. and I'm not even I'm being genuine. So I appreciate I'm being 100% serious. I appreciate that you're being cordial with us if you're still
No,
here.
no,
Oh yeah,
they're right though. They're right though.
yeah. And that's the thing about, I mean, Reagan. We all have our criticism and everything, but I don't remember Reagan. Reagan specifically said that, hey, trade is important. You know, and I think it was even Bush or someone that said, hey, not all immigrants are bad people. So you
Yeah,
have past Republican presidents that have been a lot more closer to the center than what we see now. Yeah, we
yeah,
disagree a lot with what other things that they did, but I think they at least had some level of respect for the office of presidency. I think
yeah.
even though they did things we just don't like, I think they still had a certain level of respect for the process of government and for being president that we're just not seeing. So that much I can agree with.
No, I agree. Um, I I can't fully really formulate this the way I want to, but honestly, I think the next president, and not just president, but Congress as a whole, we need. I don't even care if they're sacrificial lambs. We need accountability across the board. You know,
Yeah.
to put it in perspective, when the Supreme Court rules on something, it affects the entire nation. The entire nation. I need to. I need. I need the highest court in the land to either say, "All right, we can't rule on this because our conservative values conflict with uh
Hmm.
this piece of legislation, so we're going to just send it back down to the lower courts, either maintaining the ruling or we're going to order them to rule again, and that final ruling will be ruled with prejudice, so we don't have to rule on it because it conflicts with our conservative values, or even with the liberal judges. If the liberal judges say this conflict with their liberal values, send it back down to the lower court. There needs to be some form of
Yeah.
accountability for the highest court in
Yeah.
the land, as they've
The-
overturned rights that we gained in the 60s. Excuse me, not in the 60s, in the 70s and in the freaking 80s. Yeah, even the 60s. Yeah, even the 60s because of the
yeah. 6 cents. Yeah.
1960, because of the VRA as well. Uh,
Hmm.
I need that type of accountability. I need every single ICE agent that has harmed and or killed any United States citizen. I need them to I need them to face some form of jail. I need it because I don't care if you're a conservative or a liberal or you don't vote at all. In no way, shape, or form should a federal officer be entering your home without a warrant, or should it result in your potential death because they did not have proper training. That's a failure.
It
That's a
is.
failure of training. That's a failure of just uh, just an ability to see your fellow American as a human, and it is a violation of most rights that we see: the right to privacy, the right to a fair trial as well. I need that shit fixed. I need it fixed. I need some sacrificial lambs. I need to see the faces of some of these people so I know, and at least in the future, I point to them as a history lesson. We should never go back to that.
Facts.
Yeah.
And real
I
real
think
quick,
so. Okay.
real quick, because I feel like we have a diamond in the rough here. So I just want to take that opportunity to ask some questions.
Go ahead.
Um, the verbal conservative, if you're still here, I'm just curious, and just to give you some background on me, I'm 32. I was raised Republican. I spent my 20s calling myself a centrist, but I still had a lot of Republican values. So I say that to say, because it's not often that I speak to people who say they're conservative and they're willing to say some of the things that you're saying. I'm just curious, like, what was the line for you with the Trump administration?
Oh, that's a good
Um,
question.
and I'm just curious, like, obviously, I know you said you're conservative, but like, what are some core conservative values that like matter to you? And you guys can go on. I just wanted to put that ball out there because I'm
Yeah,
curious.
from what I mean, I don't know what he's going to say when he says it, but for some of them, it has been the war in Iran. For some of them, it's been the J6 stuff. You know, it's certain moments that happen that are, that we all recognize as being, wow,
Real
that's
quick,
crazy, that they
real
also
quick.
recognize
Sorry.
as crazy.
Re-
Okay.
Take your time. No, if you got the time to be here, no rush. You don't gotta. We're just hanging out. Go
Oh
on,
yeah.
Chris.
But dang, what was it? Oh, but I guess to jump off, January 6th stuff and everything. So, of course, Trump made an announcement this week about the 2020 election and everything, and how the elections were, of course, stolen. So now he's trying to say that China interfered in our elections and all this stuff, and that they're the ones who were trying to get Biden elected or whatever. And it's just so funny to me to see that happening in real time while he's releasing these, documents. All of it pretty much points to the exact opposite, that Russia was interfering on Trump's behalf, not on his behalf, but trying to get, Trump elected in the 2020 election by using a lot of things that were happening in the world, like Israel, Palestine, and everything else. And and what it says about China is that, yeah, China has some information. They have intel and that sort of stuff, but there's no evidence they interfered because it wasn't worth the risk. And that's what it says. Whereas you see all these MAGA people just pushing this idea that China was the one who, who interfered in the election, and that's how it was rigged and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't like it's crazy that we can go to the whitehouse.gov and every single section is probably filled with like North Korean style like propaganda, including with the 2020 election. It's like entirely revisionist history. Now, of course, all that could be undone, but I really truly think, and this goes back into the reconciliation part. Part of that, we really need to make sure that the history books actually understand what the real history was behind everything that happened with this administration and everything. And that's what I was going to say about ICE. Is when it comes to ICE, I feel like you either have to reform them until they're entirely different, or dismantle them entirely and start from scratch. I just don't think you can, the next Dem president, come in and say, all right, we're just going to pick back up, maybe arrest a few people. I think you just have to, you got to clean it from top to bottom. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for a lot of liberals like ourselves to look at our leaders and say, we really need ICE to be a little bit more different. A few arrests aren't going to cut it. Is basically what I'm
Hey,
saying.
I'm gonna be real big. I think ICE is gone. I think that shit's over. I think that shit's over. Not for no other
Hmm.
reason than like too much death. Too much death happened in public eye. I think that shit's gone. Be real with you.
Yeah, there
To
needs
be
to be a
we
rerun.
have a we have enough Democrats speaking out about it now, and it's becoming a problem for Republicans as well. For no other reason than like too many people are dying, and it's happening in their city. So it's gonna. I honestly think that shit's either gets uh it either gets uh dismantled and then turned into something else to correct the mistakes of the past, or it gets completely shifted to only being filled with lawyers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Because
uh, it, it,
wasn't ICE formed after like 9/11, that we formed what, the Department of Homeland
yes,
Security and everything?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There were topics about it going away after, I think, like 2 years after that, because it was like, well, they
Hmm.
served their purpose. They served their purpose. It no longer needs to be around. There's a reason why until the Trump administration weaponized it and 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 turned it into a Ponzi a type of type of
Private
thing.
military.
Par-
Private
yeah,
military.
I won't even call it
That's
private
right.
military at this point because nothing about what they do is private.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
uh, he turned it into a mercenary group for the
Hmm.
government. For the government, uh, there's a reason why it was almost oh, what is it? Almost like you were volunteering because the money wasn't worth it. You were making
Oh
lower
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
teachers. You were
Right,
making lower
because
than teachers. You
And
know?
I
real
think
quick,
they invested a whole bunch. Oh, go ahead, Evan.
just to cut in because we got some good replies. Um, he said first and foremost, he prefers small, efficient government. Second, try to leave me alone as much as possible. Third, I
Hmm.
believe our foreign policy is schizophrenic. That needs to change. We need to get a better look at our friends, in parentheses. Fourth, I wish Congress would set the hate things aside and come together. He agreed that ICE will be done soon. He says he thinks they'll be done in the next admin. Then he said voted for Trump 2016, loved having a loved having a good time more than voting in 2020, so didn't vote.
Uh-huh.
2024 worked a triple that day, too exhausted. Said
Gotcha.
breaking point for me was the absolutes that Trump speaks with. All people are more than
Yeah,
their
yeah,
political
yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
Orange guy doesn't
Mm-hmm.
understand that. So it seems to me you're
Mm-hmm.
conservative libertarian, and it seems like your libertarian values mean a little bit more to you than this current admin situation. And I like these responses because if you remember our friend, what was it on YouTube or Facebook the other day? They were trying
Hmm.
to conflate being libertarian to Republican as if it's just the as if they equal
Oh
each other.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Yeah.
now we're seeing in real time how that can like split. But
yeah,
yeah, those are good responses.
yeah, yeah. When it comes to ice, it
Yeah.
100%. I definitely see it completely going away or becoming different than what it's been doing. It's just you can't continue when you have a group like that is just um em- employing the worst to kind of work and have a gun and be able to just shoot whoever without consequence. Like I sent that article in chat about how ICE agents weren't being investigated or whatever in Minnesota after what had took place and everything, and how that FBI couldn't. It was something related to that, and it's just like, man, it's insane that these people are getting away with literal murder of American citizens in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's no, it has to be reformed and dismantled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Nice
I
one.
think, I think, well, in terms of just labels itself, I think it's, I think generally it's hard for Americans to be put in one specific label, especially since we all come from different states, and we all, whether you're liberal or not, we all have some type of traditional mindset inherently ingrained in us because a lot of us,
What if-
even when we aren't religious, we still practice live, uh, uh, you know, uh, live and let live. A lot of us do.
Yeah,
So, and I
I
just
do.
think, I think a lot of us, me being a liberal progressive in the South, uh, the way we work and the way we view things is with much more nuance than a black and white type of mindset. For us, we want the government to leave us alone. Let us live how we want, and as long as you deliver on your promises, such as easing the cost of living, making sure the government stays open, uh,
Hmm.
and just overall my social security that I'm paying into doesn't get lambasted and disappear by
Yeah,
2030. Um, just overall basic living standards. As long as you leave that shit alone, unless you plan on making it better than it is now, a lot of Americans would just choose to leave things the way they are, not for comfortability per se, but rather than if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah. I do think that's one
I
of
think
the
that's
things
majority of
about.
Americans.
Yeah, and that's the thing is for the longest time, I guess Republicans have kind of had a monopoly on that sort of thinking that, oh, we're going to leave you alone. Oh, government's going to stay out of your business. Oh, we're not going to tell you how to live your lives and all that sort of stuff. But as time has gone on, they've kind of gotten away from that, and that they are trying to tell people how what they need to do with their bodies. They are trying to tell uh, how not I guess tell companies what to do, but what not to do. Basically, kind of a lot of the deregulation stuff that's happening with our Environmental Protections Agency and everything with that. Like that's one example where, yeah, we don't want government to overregulate, but under-regulating where it can actually harm the environment. That's where it can become an issue, and
Yeah.
that's what I wish conservatives would come to is that is closer to the center where you can say, okay, we as Democrats, we understand we want to regulate. Y'all don't want too many. So let's just find a middle ground that works for everyone. Or with taxes, right? It's okay to raise taxes on wealthy people, but how much should we go up to make sure that we're not breaking the bank or making people leave or whatever it might be, right? There's a way to come to the middle ground. And even with this bipartisan housing bill, I haven't looked at what the votes were in the Senate or in the House for the bill that passed. But I would love to like kind of see, all right, how many Republicans voted for it, how many Democrats voted, just to see, where they were able to come to agreement and say, hey, look, housing is an issue. Let's work on it. Let's get it done. So that way Americans have something, to kind of ease the burden or ease the financial stress of trying to find a home. So there are instances where they've come together. It's just you right now have a leader who doesn't believe in that. And also his rhetoric is just so divisive. And that's across all of, MAGA and everything. The rhetoric is just so divisive at putting down the other side that it makes it impossible for the other side to want to work with them. So when this next administration comes in after Trump, a lot of them are going to act like they never had anything to do with Trump, never had anything to do with administration. And that's, goes back to the accountability. But yeah, Americans want, the freedoms that we've been afforded and to live our lives how we want to live them. But, we also have to share this country together. So it's important that we kind of take care of it and each other to make sure it doesn't collapse. And I think that's where Democrats are with their thinking, whereas Republicans like, I don't care if it collapses. You could do whatever you want. At least the current form of Republicans are.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
he gave some responses. He did say you
Hmm.
guys are speaking some truth. Yeah, and Chatter, I feel like we're gonna diverge a little bit. Is here we are down with the social safety nets.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
to take it back
Hmm.
to what'd you say? My laptop went crazy on me, so I had to restart. So now the comment is gone. But to take it back to one thing that you said, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, you said, see, for me, I grew up with the mantra, do for yourself, don't be a burden. I 100%
Hmm.
agree with that. And,
Mm.
I also, this is the thing. And again, former, more right center leaning, I get it. I don't like the idea of, I don't want to use the word, freeloaders or people who
Hmm.
may not, they're not going to contribute to the much to the system as they're going to take. Like, I get it and I understand. But for me, where I'm at currently, as a person who has worked my entire adult life, there's a lot of people out there. This is how I look at it. I think in a system where we have, I don't know, for example, medical insurance for all. I think the way that we should look at it is the people who can work are working and we're contributing to the system. Then there's going to be a group of people who can't contribute. You have disabled people, you have retired people,
Hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. For
Yeah.
me, the trade-off is, if my tax dollars are going towards, well, myself, because I'm also benefiting from this, but if my tax dollars are going towards helping people who genuinely can't, those people who may be flying under the radar and aren't contributing as much as they should, if they're benefiting more than they should from that, it's a trade-off that I'm willing to take. And I'd like to trust that our government can take measures to handle those people that are, quote unquote, freeloading,
Hmm.
or not doing their fair share. But it's a trade-off that I'm willing to take.
Yep. And I think that's also the important part is that it is in of course, part of it is being altruistic. Part of it is, we want to help other people. At least that's how I feel about it. But also, you have to look at what the benefits are in the long term, right? If we provide, education, housing, and food and clothing to a child, right, then they'll have their basic essentials, their basic needs met, and they can develop, smoothly. They can develop properly, appropriately, and everything, and they grow up to be less of a drain on society and more of a contributing member of society. So because of that, that means when they get older, they won't have to take from as many systems as they did when they were younger, so now they can pay more into the systems and the cycle can continue. The problem with some of the people on the other side, Republicans, is that they want to cut some of that stuff, which won't lead to as good outcomes as they might think it will. Yes, people need to work. Yes, people need to contribute. Yes, there are people who have a ton of babies to get, housing and food and all that sort of stuff. And I understand there's concerns with that, and that's more of a conversation to have with people in those communities. But at the same time, you have to think, well, would you don't want to punish the adult in the situation just because the child is here, right? The child needs food, the child needs clothing, the child needs housing. And I'd rather them have that and grow up to become stable members of society and then contribute rather than, okay, they don't have food, they don't have housing. So now what? They'll turn to crime. They have health issues that we still got to pay for. They're going to court if they're, in the legal system, and that eats up at our tax dollars. So it's just a way to basically you pay now and you save later. And I know that's kind of hard to see for some people because a lot of those, more, I guess, conservative minded people might be thinking, well, what's the return on investment? It can be a return on investment. You just have to wait on it. And I think the wait is well worth it, especially if you're talking about a person who's fully capable, taking care of themselves without relying on any sort of government assistance. That's where you want, that's where you want them to, head towards.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said, more than that, don't punish the adult if the system is fucked. I think I I live in a blue collar area. I think the majority of people want to be productive, and I think the majority of people want to work.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Hmm.
I think the narrative that has been created of people who are more of a burden on the system than contributing. I think that's been exaggerated a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah, like I can speak from that. When I was fresh out of college trying to, find a job or find, what career I wanted to go into, it didn't feel good to not have your own money or to not have what you need in order to, provide for yourself. But, I now that I, have a full-time job, work as a teacher and everything, I, feel like, hey, I don't mind that my taxes or my tax paying dollars are going to systems that can help make other people's lives a little bit easier.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, and verbal can. I know that that's not your POV. I'm just kind of what you said made me think of the arguments that happen. So no, I know that you've been able to display nuance here, so I understand that at that point. I wasn't trying to put that on you.
Hmm.
mm, I mean, I'm of the opinion that based on everything that's happened so far, we know the government can afford to do some things. We
Yeah.
know they can. We see the amount of money they've given to things like ICE. What is it like? Originally was 770 billion. Now it's somewhere higher than that.
Hmm.
We've seen a full mask off of insider trading, which is more money.
Hmm.
They've created the deficit in such a way where we won't even really
Yeah.
feel those effects until like probably 8, 7 years later.
Yeah. Because the problem is that the tax cuts that he passed, they were made permanent with the recent budget bill, the one big beautiful bill they passed last
Hmm.
year. And what that does is it just takes it cuts programs like Medicaid and SNAP and other
Hmm.
places in the government while giving tax breaks to everyone. Now, of course, on paper that sounds nice, right? But once we, like Jamal said, start getting into balance the budget in years to come, it's going to be harder because guess what? You given tax breaks, you given tax cuts to corporations, to rich individuals who normally pay a little bit more, meaning the government is going to have less money to work with, which means we're going to have to borrow, which is where the deficit comes. The deficit adds to the debt, and the deficit is just going to balloon. And so, yeah, sure, for now, people get some short term relief, but you get long term pain.
Right. And real quick, Jamal, your headphones are doing the thing again.
Oh shit, it's doing it again. Can you hear me? You good?
Yeah, I can hear you. It stopped now.
Okay, it might. Well, they're fully charged. I have to wonder if it's just a bug. If so, if it cuts out too much, I'll just switch them out.
And the verbal conservative said, right, but as a conservative, I look at funding like education, then notice that we still need bake sales to get markers. Why don't we spend the trillions to provide the basics first and then pay raises to school boards last?
Well,
That
my
is. Oh, go ahead, Jamal. Go ahead.
oh well, I think I think I kind of get where you're coming from because I do agree. Uh, Take out the liberal and progressive and socialism labels and buzzwords. Take that all out and
Hmm.
look at it like why is this 6 year old girl struggling to help struggling to make the school more money than the school itself actually being profitable. And that's not to say we look at public schools and as a needs profit type of thing. No, it starts by putting our money into social services like public school. That's a social service.
Yeah.
Street lights. I live in Louisiana. Damn near 90% of my road is just plot holes. That could be fixed with social services by taking the money from for instance, taking the money for defunding the money, at least most of the money that we've decided to overblow the police force with, giving it to social services to be able to go, let's fix the roads. Let's make sure no child has to worry about
School supplies.
spending 4 hours in class and going to lunch and not being able to eat, which now makes difficult for them to focus because they haven't had lunch.
Yeah.
We can
And
afford to pay for children to have
yeah.
lunch. We can
Yeah.
afford to have not have to worry about whether the 6 year old child that's selling cupcakes to help the school with funding. If the school is struggling with funding, that means the money that is being proposed is not being proposed at a high enough budget to justify, uh, why the school is struggling.
Yeah.
That is a
And,
problem.
and that's a problem across a lot of districts and everything where
It is.
you have schools who are underfunded, you have teachers who are underpaid. The issue is the funding, but it's also Jamal's your headphones are doing the same thing.
Oh God. You know what I'm gonna do? Hang on. Hang on.
Oh, any, anyways, so the the what happens is I think it's also not only just underfunded, but also how, to spend the money. And I think that gets caught up in a lot of the political like sides and views of it on what should we use the money for? Like, what should it be spent on? Should it be spent on training? Should it spend on more supplies and everything? And I think from there, you can kind of get a sense and feel about, what's going to be effective, what's not based on how you're spending the money and everything. But they're definitely underfunded, right? I think it's definitely an issue of who's at the in the state level, local level, of course, the federal level. You have different, you got the school boards in the different districts, and then you have the education commissions in the different states, and then of course, then you have the federal. You have the Secretary of Education. And it's like from there, you have to, decide what schools need, what districts need, what teachers need, and all of that. And it should be where we can spend. It shouldn't be to where a child has to go out and raise money to get this done for their school. And teachers shouldn't be going out and having to spend their own money on supplies. It's unfortunately very common thing. So I do think more needs to be spent, but you have to have people in government to do that. You have to vote in people who want to do more for schools, do more for teachers, do more for students. And I think that's where it's at. And like Jamal said, you can get rid of all the labels and everything. It's has the, you know, who has our best interests at heart,
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why I say that is because if the teachers are struggling, the school is struggling, and there's a reason why there's a teacher shortage. It's not because it's a lack of teachers, because it's a lack of money and a lack of funding for schools. Uh, uh, I read an article recently that said at least 26 schools around the country have all merged and have caused, because it's a merger, they get rid of the already available teachers there because they already have those teachers in place, which makes it more
Well,
difficult
I
for the
can. Well,
teachers there.
I could speak for that because that's exactly what happened in my district, although a little bit different. So, we recently built a new school in our district and everything, and part of that, however, meant that they had to close schools and everything because basically we're consolidating. We closed down like three elementary schools. The middle schools are closed down. Like our sixth grade is now in elementary, and then our seventh, eighth grade go to like the high schools. So now it's just become crowded where not only do you have classrooms that are bursting at the seams, but now you have fewer teachers to go around too. Because somewhere along those lines, there's only so many teachers that can be at the school that I'm working at now. So some people might not be able to get a position. They tried their best to make sure people got transferred and get able to keep their jobs, but in some other cases, not so much. I've heard in like Chicago public schools in one of the districts nearby where I live at, they've had to cut teachers and everything in order to balance the budget and everything. So it's just it definitely is a problem of schools being underfunded, and I think the way to fix that is voting in people who not only want to fund schools appropriately but also want to spend the want to make sure the money is spent appropriately and everything. You're not just spending on fancy equipment but spending it on teachers who are wanting to be there and are highly qualified and educated. So
Real
that's
quick,
kind of, yeah.
he asked, is that a side effect of a small population growth for mergers?
It
No.
is. It can be. Well,
Yes and no. Yes
it
and
can
no.
be.
But yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the declining birth rates, it that is also one of the reasons why some school districts are deciding to close their schools down is because you have a lot of schools that were built for a booming population. Now the population's going down. Some of those schools that were built for 1,000 kids have 500 kids, so they have to think, okay, is it worth keeping this building open, or should we close it and save some money, but also end up cutting teachers in the long run? So it's part of that, but also the consolidation can also be like what's going on in my district. We build a new school, everyone gets transferred, nobody loses their job from what I've heard. So yeah, it depends on the reasons as to why consolidation is happening. It can be because of budget cuts, or it could be because they're uh, building new schools. Also, that could be budget related as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. It is.
I think you said everything I was gonna say.
Oh, there you go. Also, there's some background noise going on with your headphones.
Oh, it's my freaking fan. That shit is loud.
Sounds like an airport, like a quiet
Yeah,
airport.
it's a strong ass fan. Someone gave it to me, and like I don't know the settings on the shit. And every time I attempt to turn the shit down, it gets stronger. So so I'm like, I'm gonna leave it
Oh my
alone before
god.
I do something horrible. If y'all
So
can
I guess,
if y'all can get past that, we be good because I'm not gonna destroy it. I
so
can't
I guess,
I can't figure it out.
uh, Chatter, where are you at with medical insurance for all?
I think if you're going to do Medicare, Medicaid for all, any type of universal health care, you got to make sure that you're balancing the budget and have the appropriate tax revenue to pay for all of that, which
Yeah.
involves raising tax. Like, if we ever get to where we have like 60 like progressive senators in Congress, and we're like, okay, we can do the single payer or we can do universal health care, where we can really change healthcare for the better. You better make sure that whatever you're going to pass to balance it out balances it out, because if you don't, it can lead into other problems and everything. Sure, it'd be great to have
Yeah.
universal healthcare, but if you don't have enough doctors to go around, if wait times like 8 months or whatever to get a new kidney or whatever to see the doctor about something, that's where you can run into issues. So if you're gonna do it right, which hopefully one day we'll get to where we can actually get some healthcare reform and everything passed.
Shit,
I'm
the
not.
Yeah.
implosion of the ACA with how like the big beautiful bill cuts like trillions of dollars from the ACA, and the amount of people we're seeing being dropped from their Medicare, because
Oh yeah.
Medicaid and Medicare are both the same. They're called something different in each specific state. A lot of people don't even
Mm,
realize they're on Medicaid or on Medicaid.
Yeah.
hmm
It's
I think
being
I think
Because
here in Florida it's
Medicaid is
called
a Medicaid is
Humana.
ran. It's done at a state level. But
Yes, it is. The state determines how the
mm,
funds are spent and all that sort of stuff.
yeah, the verbal conservative said it's not his cup of tea, but he understands the idea. So I guess the $1 million question, with everything you've told us so far, where are you at with the midterm? Are you gonna vote? What what do you think?
And you don't have to tell us. I mean, hey, that's your
Yeah, we
business. If
don't
you're
need.
yeah,
like,
Yeah,
you under no
yeah.
obligation to inform us.
yeah,
They said that's where my problem really lies with the MFA. There are a lot of unintended consequences that can really affect their lives. I mean, again, and the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm just curious because oh, you're in Maine. Ooh,
Mm.
you're in the heart of
oh,
you're in the heart of it right now, hey.
oh
Uh-oh.
man.
Oh,
Wait, we should ask him did he how did he feel about Plattner before all this stuff went down with the whole rape allegations?
Let's save that and let's ask a better question. Um,
well, just in general, I mean, right? I'm just curious how you just feel about Maine's primary situation in general right now, just
yeah, that's what
with
I was going to ask about.
Maine.
Yeah.
Pour one out for Graham Plattner.
Mm.
Don't
Oh,
pour
don't know
anything
much
out
about
for
it.
that man.
I was being sarcastic. Yeah, and
I know, I know.
just for the record,
I'll be back, y'all. Give me a second.
no
All right.
problem. Just to make it clear, we were well, I'm the more I'm the more curious one. But Jay and Chris here are no fans of the DSA types. And none of us were fans of Plattner here at any point. Um,
No. I
but yeah,
was not. Yeah, no.
he says Collins will win again.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely possible. I remember. I think was it Jamal or somebody. Somebody had said, whoever I watched or heard had said that in her last election, it seemed like she wasn't going to win, but somehow she skirts by every time. And it's like, man, they talk about establishment Democrats all the time. Establishment Republicans, can you even get those guys out at all?
Right. And he said, I do not like ranked choice.
Okay, rank choice. Got it. Yeah, our primaries aren't till August 13th. Of course, I gotta probably do a little bit more research on Florida's blue candidates, but at this point, listen, Florida is a Republican stronghold.
Oh, he said she's a rhino.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know anything about her. I really
Right.
don't.
So Rhino just means Republican in name
Oh,
only.
yeah,
So
no,
that's what that means.
I don't know anything about Collins.
No, I do know that she supported Trump in a lot of the stuff that he's done, but sometimes she doesn't. And but I think she is very like very conservative. Like every now and then she might like hint that, oh, I'm gonna vote with the Democrats on this, or I'm not sure. But for the most part, I wish I could look up her voting record to see what it is in terms of like Republican policies and
I
legislation.
can.
It's probably at like 90%. You know, he might not view Trumpers as like true Republicans, which that would be refreshing. I don't think he
Well,
does.
this is when it comes to a lot of MAGA, I'm at the point where I think they're because this is the thing. I'm not even trying to. I'm not even. I'm when I say this, I'm not even trying to be mean. But like when it comes to MAGA at this point, and when I say
Oh,
MAGA, I don't mean Republican, but that
hmm,
strong base, they've
yeah,
proven that their view is just him. It's not,
yeah,
you
it
know.
is. Like when it comes to them overall, it is a cult of personality. By the way, he said that sometimes a rhino is a good thing. So I imagine he means that he prefers that uh, she be a rhino as opposed to like MAGA. I think. I
Yeah, or
think.
like just like saying like as a use to get into office.
Yeah, no, as in like saying he prefers more the never Trumpers, the traditional like at this point, anytime you hear MAGA call someone a rhino, it just means a Republican that doesn't go along with everything Trump does. That's it. Like
Yeah,
Thomas Massey is the biggest like example of someone who they view as a rhino. That guy is a conservative, but because he sometimes, occasionally, stands up to Trump, all of a sudden, and he stands up for Trump for good reasons. It was
yeah,
the
he's
biggest
saying you're
thing.
right.
Yeah. I figured because Thomas Massey was like, along with Ro Khanna, were trying to hold Trump accountable for releasing the Epstein files. And when the Iranian war happened, he was like totally against it. So to them, that's a rhino, all because he disagreed on with Trump on two. Again, these are two things that Trump had promised himself. He had promised, hey, we're going to be transparent with the Epstein files, and hey, we're not going to go to any wars. He was just holding him accountable, which, okay, you're holding the person who's the leader of your party accountable. Good for you, right? And
Right.
because he did that, it kind of turned him into an enemy in the Republican Party, which is strange, but I mean, MAGA Republican Party, more specifically. But yeah, they are a cult of personality. So I agree with them. Yeah, they're a cult of
Um,
personality.
I maybe I gotta move this over here. I'm trying. Her voting record won't load.
Oh, her voting.
All right, let's see.
But yeah, overall, he's saying that he prefers to have an never Trump or Rhino type Republican than a MAGA Republican. Which I mean, if you're gonna have a Republican, and those are your two options, yeah, I understand. But we'll
Right.
see. I do wonder who they're
You're
gonna pick
right.
to what.
She's voted with Trump 96% of the time.
Yeah, see, and that's such a crazy thing to think that like MAGA.
But it's
Go ahead.
weird though because then like
Is she really a Rhino?
well no well because but this is the thing though because it also says that she's voted across party lines multiple times. So I don't know if like
Oh, okay.
I don't know if Trump got in and then she became that way. I'm trying to find her stuff pre-Trump
She's probably been in politics for a long time.
since
She is like,
97.
yeah. I was about to say she's probably very much a establishment Republican. So that it wouldn't surprise me if she has a very strong. Has she been a Republican all her life? Because if she's reached across party, that would make sense though when you think about it. Because if she's been in office since 1997, she's been a Republican since 1997. It would make sense why she's able to reach across the aisle because she comes from that pre-Bush era of Republicans that occasionally were like, "Hey, we should work together to get this accomplished." So that would explain why she has reached across the aisle is because she's built up those relationships with other people on the other side where she's able to occasionally work with them. But 96% voting record with Trump that's very high. So I mean, yeah, but it is what it is.
She so look, it says that she breaks party lines more than any other Republican.
Who? Thomas Massey?
No, Collins.
Oh, she.
Oh yeah. Oh, uh, I did a deep dive into like just uh Susan Collins and why she has been a mainstay for so long. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I hold her accountable for the big beautiful bill and as well as other actions. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but the woman has a history of reaching across the aisle a lot, and
Mm.
But real quick before you go, the part that we learned while you were gone
mhm.
is with that being true, she's voted with Trump 96% of the time,
Oh,
which
I
is
know.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So it's like he came around and then she was like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna vote with him every time." Like I don't know, I'm confused.
It's probably well. I mean, 90 was that from the current term, the 96% voting record, or was it
It
before
just said
Trump?
with Trump in general.
Okay, so I imagine she was senator of Maine during Trump's first term, and probably, and of course, the second term, and probably Biden's term as well. I imagine she's been there all. Listen, she sounds like she's been there for a very long time. So I imagine that 96% is for the current term. But if we look back further, it might look a little bit different, you know.
Yeah,
So
well, actually,
and like what you're saying, yeah, maybe he got in there and she was like, "I'm gonna just vote along with Trump just because I'm scared and don't want to lose my spot or whatever." You know, I don't know.
it looks like because from 2021 to 2023, she voted with Democrats 40% of the time.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Am I Susan
Well,
Collins?
hmm?
Am I
What?
Susan Collins?
What?
No,
I
no.
mean,
You
maybe
might
Am I?
be. You might be.
no.
You
Oh
might
my
be
god.
the. You might be the moderate Democrat. You think from like from like the mid 2000s more than
Yeah,
anything else.
Oh
this
my
is
god. He called him a moderate dim. That's the ultimate insult.
but yeah, the verbal conservative said she's normal like most of us. We all have
Yeah,
a big
I
constellation of beliefs to draw from.
yeah,
Not
I
saying it's a
imagine
bad
she's a
thing.
average, your average Republican. It's just that she caught up in the I'm too scared to go against Trump, so I'm a kind of just shut my mouth and vote along with him, you know.
And that's where the FAS word comes in. Not her, him.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I mean we've got people scared to break, like that's
I
another
just wish they
example
would.
of
I just wish they would because we've heard it before how many Republicans behind closed doors just despise Trump. Yet when it comes time to stand against them, they're like, I'm gonna just go along with them. And it's like, well, I mean, all the corruption stuff, that even with the January 6th stuff, I thought when January 6th, I'm like, there is no way the Republicans are going to look at this because remind you, I was just coming off my kind of Republican stuff. You know, I voted for Biden and everything. I was, moving into that kind of progressive lane, but I wasn't entirely there. So I still had some faith that Republican Party was, okay, they're going to say this man was crazy. We're moving on. We're going to make sure that, he faces full consequences. Yet it is insane how they set up there and let this man pardon all the J6 rioters, regardless of what crimes they've committed in the past. It is insane how they've let this man take like billions of dollars in bribes and whatnot. Not bribes, but with the meme coin and stuff, or taking foreign bribes and just all the things that he's done. I'm like, so at what point are y'all going to like impeach him? Because clearly he is not a Republican. He doesn't care. He doesn't care for conservative values. He cheated on his pregnant wife with a stripper or a hooker or whatever. Like what? I don't understand. I get they're afraid of him, but I think they're more so afraid of the base than him
yeah.
because the base is are their constituents, right? And the thing of it is like, well, you don't they don't want to lose their spot in Congress, so they're gonna do what makes their constituents happy and vote along with Trump. But even some of I remember there were some town halls going on, and it was like in Iowa or somewhere, and those Republicans getting cooked. That was when that one lady said, "Well, if they die, they die." I forgot who it was, but I'm like, what? This is insane
Yeah.
to me.
The verbal conservative said, Chris is on fire today with interpretation. All of you guys are. Thank you for making me feel included. You're welcome. And I have
You're
to say
welcome, man.
again,
Thank you so
this
much.
this, this is not what I expected to get today. So I truly mean that. Do you think there is still a silent majority in the country?
You mean what do you mean? You mean like
That was the verbal conservative.
oh
Oh, in terms of like the generation of silent majority or like the voters, if so, probably. Um, to my knowledge, the normal Republicans, they all got pushed out during the 2024 election, uh,
mm,
because of how, even though the Democrats won a lot of seats down ballot, uh, the Bush and Mitt Romney Republicans were successfully pushed out and replaced
mm,
with the yes men, the further right Republicans.
mm,
And I say all that to say probably the silent majority, for like voter wise, probably still exists. They probably don't have a home to call them for themselves right now, since
yeah.
the current form of the Republican Party is Donald Trump's party, and a lot of that's due to primary fears. Because even though they win primaries, they do not win general elections. A lot of those Republicans fear not having fear not having that power. They fear not
Hmm.
having that power, and they
Yep.
are much
That's what
more
it is.
willing to. They're much more willing to stick with Donald Trump than not have
Mm.
power at all. There's a
And what I
reason why.
oh sorry.
Sorry. I was saying the reason why you see Thomas Massey, Bill Cassidy, uh, Tom Tillis, who still I'm 50-50 on where he lands. Uh,
Because he was grilling that one dude on
yeah, but he still
who was being
votes for
confirmed.
he still
Right,
votes
right,
from
right,
Wayne.
right, right.
So
Yeah.
I say all that to say is that there's a reason why Bill Cassidy, who's no longer going to be a congressman, feeling a lot more freedom to say what he wants. The reason why who
Hmm.
Thomas Massey still isn't necessarily a good representative, in my opinion. Some of the things he's voted for have been very anti-democratic, in the sense
Yeah.
where he's voted for some extremely anti-voting voting laws. Uh, he agrees with Republicans 90% of the time, except for the Epstein files.
That
And
was the big. That was a break for him. Yeah.
so when I say all that, I said there's a reason why those people feel free. And the reason why MTG feels free, she's not in Congress anymore. She doesn't have to answer to
I was
Donald
gonna
Trump.
bring
She
her
doesn't
up.
have to worry about. She doesn't have to worry about being primary. She doesn't have to worry about
Hmm.
behind closed doors being
Yeah.
accosted and intimidated by other
Trump.
Republicans. They don't have to worry
Yeah.
about any of that. They're free. They're free to do what they want, and what they want is essentially, I want off this train, this train ride to hell, because Donald Trump won't be here forever. And if I'm still around, I want to get back into power.
Yeah.
I
And
want to get.
And
I'm
real
not trying to
quick,
make it sound sinister, by the way.
real quick, I do agree with this. And this is something I haven't told you guys yet, but like for
uh
example,
oh.
like I always tell you guys, like my grandparents, they're the old school Republican. They're not
Right.
MAGA,
Right. Right.
but they vote red. The last time I
Hmm.
saw them, a couple weeks ago, we got on politics for the first time in a while because we haven't talked about it a lot because they know
Mm.
where I'm now at. And I realized it's it started to dawn on them. And this is even with them, because you got to keep in mind, the
Hmm.
only algorithm that's affecting them is Fox
It's
News.
Fox News.
They
Yeah.
watch Fox News, right? And I was over there talking to them about things, like this was around the time that Elon became a trillionaire.
Okay.
And I was just explaining them like like simple things. Well, not simple, but simple things like, hey, do you guys know how these people get out of paying taxes with the loans that they take and then they never pay? And I just started explaining these things to them, and I started explaining
Hmm.
some things about Trump that they're not going to hear in that Fox News bubble.
You're right.
And my grandpa, he was just quiet. And my but my grandpa's quiet when he's thinking. And my grandma, she after I while I'm talking, she turned to my grandpa and she was like, "Hey, maybe we should start listening to him on this stuff." Um, and
Wow.
that made me realize that they're having they're starting to see it on their own without me even saying anything. Just off her
Hmm.
saying that.
Hmm.
Because like for example, like when I explained how the billionaires get out of taxes, they keep their money in stocks and assets, they
Yeah,
take
yeah, and
out
the assets.
loans against
Yeah,
their wealth.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't even know they didn't even know that was a practice,
Oh yeah, that's
right?
very. Listen, rich people
So
do not spend their own money
yeah, they
like
didn't
that.
they had never, and my grandparents are
Yeah,
very fiscally
well
responsible. My
educated.
grandpa my
Hmm.
grandpa's very active in the stock market. These are things that he never even heard of. So I say all
Hmm.
that to say, and I've always said this to you guys, I believe that there are, as we're seeing right now, now again, I'm not critical or verbal conservative. I'm not trying to act like we've recruited you to the cause. I know you have your own views, but
Of course.
there's a large number of conservatives out there who are they're not with this. And I
Yeah.
think that when Trump is gone, um, we're going to see a huge power vacuum.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know
I'm
what
gonna
is
use
going to
the
happen to
restroom
the
right quick.
Republican. No problem. I don't know what's going to happen to Trump after the or to the Republican Party after Trump. Um, how do you guys feel about abandoning family members for political reasons? Um, Me personally, I am in a situation where I do not have any direct family um that has even ever made me consider that. So when I say what I'm about to say, I'm speaking from a place where I've never even had to feel that way. Um I wouldn't I've never considered abandoning anyone over their political views. Um I'm able to have conversations with people on the left, right, in between. The only time that I get frustrated is when I am dealing with people who are just completely irrational and just you can't have a conversation with them. And I don't have a lot of people like that in my life. uh, Jay and Chris, what do you guys think about abandoning family members for political reasons? Chris, I said I've never even been in a situation where I've even really had to consider that.
I've never had to be in that situation. Luckily, my mom is, has very similar to beliefs to me. I mean, she raised me and everything. My sister, she's very active in the community. She, votes democratically and everything, and encouraged all of her, her daughter to vote. She encouraged people in her other extended family that, her husband to vote, all that stuff. Oh, and her husband's also my brother-in-law. He's part of the city commission where I live at and everything. So, they're very politically active. I don't know about my brother. He's probably more of a centrist than I am by far, but he's a type that he's like, yeah, Trump seems like a cool businessman, but probably personality wise, he wouldn't agree with a lot of what he does and everything. But he's not like heavy into politics like I am. But I've never had to, you know, argue with a family member or anything about Trump or something like that. I just
Yeah,
never had to be in a situation, so I can't relate to it. But I do know it can destroy families. It can definitely destroy
yeah.
families.
And what I will say is if I had a family member who was cheering on ICE and all this craziness, at this point we probably wouldn't be able to talk anymore. Like and just to add nuance, like if I had a family member who their talking points are, hey, I just believe, we need to protect the border. I'm not a big fan of illegal immigration, blah, 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 blah. I'm fine with that. But once you cross into the realm of like cheering on the inhumane treatment and things like that, it would
Yeah,
probably hit a point where we just wouldn't really be able to talk anymore.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Like if someone said, "Oh, I think the tax cuts were pretty good," it's like okay, we can have a conversation about that. It's like we're economically, I can have a conversation with someone with
mm,
different of opinion, but when it comes to like human rights and stuff,
yeah.
that's where I can't. It's like
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say I've been in a position where at least a family member I've had to cut off because of their political views. Most of my family members are somewhere center left or uh they're just old school Democrats. So I've been very fortunate. Now friends, I have
Hmm.
cut off friends because of it. Because one of my friends from high school turned out to be a huge Trump supporter.
Oh
And
Lord.
and for a while he used to hide it. And over the course of these past there's been like 2 years now. These past 2 years, he's gone further into uh uh kind of reinforcing his beliefs. No matter the amount of truth that is presented to him, he doesn't absorb it in that way. He absorbs it, then just doubles down. And so because of that, we've cut him out of the friend group completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we even told him to his face, you know, listen, that man is attacking our rights.
Yeah.
He's he's making it much more difficult to even feel comfortable sitting next to people that don't look like us. Um, we now have to question whether or not our own friends have our best interests at heart. We explained it to him, and he just called us, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of crybaby liberals," and a bunch of other cuss words. And and we all was like, well, this was your final, this was your final come to Jesus moment. We're done. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And from time to time, I mean, to my knowledge, all he had was us as his friends. And from time to time, uh, we'll see him on Instagram or something, being really angry that he has nobody. So,
Damn. Shoot.
um,
Well, he did it to himself.
yeah, he did
Real
it to
qu-
himself. So, it's friend wise, he cut you off, and I've been very fortunate to not have to worry about it with family. That being said, my my heart line is we can talk about economics and
Mm-hmm.
what people and what congressmen should be doing and what
Yeah.
they shouldn't be doing. My heart line is my rights to vote, my political power, and just my overall ability to be recognized as a human.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And
That
also
makes sense.
just so I'm consistent, and then like if I had a friend or a family member who was on the extreme left and they were going as far as, being pro, I don't know what I can and can't say on these platforms, but let's just say uh pro groups that are not good, like groups in Iran, etc., I wouldn't be able to kick it with them either. So it's not just a right exclusive thing. It's possible for someone to be too extreme on the left for me to really
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
nah.
Like one I
Um
couldn't I
but we
couldn't
real
be with
quick,
okay.
we got a new friend in here. They said I'm not sure what they were responding to because it's been a couple minutes, but they said
Yeah.
what we choose to build after that together can be better than what came before, but we have got to fight. Either way, they are coming. They knew robbing us blind was unsustainable. Fascism is their answer.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know what that is too though because I wasn't able to read it quick enough.
Probably
Okay.
about, probably about reconciliation, about what we, how what to do after Trump is gone, who the power vacuum that's going to be left and that sort of stuff is definitely going like you said, MTG is definitely, gearing up for some sort of, political run again once Trump is out of there. The question though remains is will what comes after occur in terms of like the Republican Party? Because I think
He said
Democrats are going to
talking about the rich in general.
oh talking about the rich. Okay, all right, yeah, I think what comes after a Republican Party once Trump is gone, it can either double down and become smarter, but also still, very authoritarian, or they can go back to how they were pre-Trump.
Yeah.
There might be a middle ground somewhere in there. It probably is. Like you might get like a Rubio or someone in like 2032, which a Rubio presidency doesn't like scare me or anything like that, but it is still like, how how far will he go to ensure that Republicans continue winning? Or will he try and reshape the entire Republican Party? Because right now it's either Vance or Rubio. Those are the next leaders who are up in the Republican Party. So it's like, how will they shape the party after Trump is gone is going to be very interesting. Or will Trump still have some control? Like he's it's clear that this dude is not just going to like, go into retirement and golf for the rest of his like hopefully like 5 years of life he has left, or it's more than that. But yeah, it's definitely a
Long
question of
life to
what
the
to do after
king.
that. Long, long live the king, right?
Real quick,
Just like the
Gamer JM said, "I'm a big fan of Mom Dami's policies." Shout out you,
Mm.
bro.
okay,
Well,
yeah, Hyundai's been doing some good stuff. Although I would like to ask him a certain question about,
Yeah, there are follow ups. I know.
oh man, because I to follow up with that,
Are we crossing into BSA territory?
I
no,
mean
not
we
yet.
can.
If I'm
Oh
a
Not yet.
wow,
'Cause
conservative, I vote
not
for the
yet.
guy with small hands. Oh, but real quick before I forget,
that's
to
a good
take it
one.
back
That's a
to
good
what
one,
you
man.
said,
All
I
right,
think
that's funny. That was funny.
I think come 2028, I don't know in what capacity. I'm not saying the guy's going to be running for president, but outside of MTG, I think Tucker Carlson is going to be a big part of what
Oh yeah.
happens next in
Oh
the
yeah.
Yeah,
Republican Party.
He's
yeah. I
already
think he's
positioning himself, and distancing himself from Donald Trump. He's been doing it pretty quickly.
yeah
Oh
he
yeah, more
has.
than that.
Tucker Carlson scares me probably more so than Trump. I'm not even gonna lie, just because when you listen to some of the things that he
He has the
said,
demeanor of Mitt Romney.
yes, he has the demeanor of Mitt Romney, but the craziness of Trump, and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's such a weird combination. Where I'm like, oh
Well,
yeah,
he's molded it.
yes,
He's
yes, it's like this weird Christo fascist, like authoritarian, like I don't. It's hard to like pinpoint exactly what it is, but yeah, he has
I'll tell
the
you what it is. It's the right version. It it's the right version of the wolf and the fox.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It really is. So he's one to watch. Nick Fuentes is also one to keep a eye on in terms of
uh,
how, because I feel like
r-
him and Tucker Carlson will get along great, and if Carlson gets any sort of power in government, you can bet Nick Fuentes is going to be a part of it, and that is when we cross into some real like, okay, are we going to become Nazi America territory?
yeah, I don't think that Nick Fuentes. I don't think it's look, they can't even he couldn't even be included in this current administration. I know he's at odds with them.
It
He's
probably was too
separated
extreme.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any world where you can brand a Nick Fuentes into like okay, and I'm not trying to cause an uproar in here.
Oh
What
no,
Fox
you're fine. Go ahead.
News what Fox News is saying Hassan Piker is actually what Nick Fuentes is. And again, I'm
I
saying
agree.
what Fox News is
Oh
saying
yeah,
Hassan Piker
yeah.
is,
I
not
mean,
what.
it- yeah. I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I definitely see the point you're making is that he isn't as popular as he isn't popular enough to influence the Republican Party. That's kind of the point I think you're making, right?
Well,
Or he can't rebrand himself to where he can
I mean,
entrench himself in Republican power.
yeah, I mean the danger level. Like, I mean the guy. There's
No,
no
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You can't
the
even.
danger level. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
He
mean,
can't
he straight
mask his
up.
power level. He can't mask his power level about what he actually is about without like some like
Yeah,
mass hypnosis or something, right?
because like for example, right? Like with Hassan. they can get him on these CNNs or whatever, and they can say, Hassan, here's a clip of you saying this. He's able
Mm-hmm.
to at least explain himself. A Nick Fuentes, if they pull up a clip of him repeatedly saying nigga, this and that, there's
Uh-huh.
no, you can't, like, there's just
Yeah.
no. So I'm saying Hassan can at least talk himself out of the corner. Nick Fuentes on a national scale being promote on a mainstream platform, there's no way to salvage that. It's just not possible.
Right. I
Yeah. No,
see.
I agree.
Yeah. So you're saying Hassan can't talk his, or no, not Hassan. I mean, Nick Fuentes can't talk his way out of. I think so, yeah. But some of the he says can resonate with a certain type of people. Maybe not to
Yeah.
the extent he
I
can't. I
think
don't think he could clean up his image as as good as. I mean, listen, Hassan's being invited to the Young Democrats to speak. Okay, so obviously, clearly, he's making more inroads with the party and trying to entrench himself. It's like more like a
I
parasite
told you he
than
got a
actual
PR
help.
team, man.
But Nick Fuentes hasn't entrenched. Like he's not in the young like Republicans convention like speaking. He was some years ago speaking at the RNC,
Wait,
but I think they wised up and realized that we can't be associated with this
two
guy.
two things.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think we lost our Mandami friend. I'm sorry if it was the Hassan
Mm.
thing that did it, but we have a new friend, um, IR Canadian man. He said, "Huh, what?" I don't know what the huh what is too. So elaborate.
I is that
And then
Hayden?
I don't. If
I'm
it
just
is,
kidding.
that's funny. But I have a hard time believing that he made a Twitch.
Oh
Like, if
man,
anything, I feel like he would have hopped in on YouTube Live.
Yeah.
fair
If it
enough.
is
Fair
him,
enough.
that's hilarious.
Fair enough.
But
Oh
unfortunately,
man,
my Hassan talk scared off our friend.
I don't think
Mm.
it scared him. I don't think it scared him. Did he say it scared him off, or he just left?
I'm just assuming and being funny
Assuming.
because I
Okay.
don't think he's in here anymore.
Oh.
But and then we have the verbal conservative. Nick has a smaller influence, definitely still is dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and I think that's it's like one of those things you got to like keep an eye on, but not something to like I guess worry yourself into a corner about. But you got to keep an eye on.
And yeah, and just for some background to the verbal conservative here. Oh, the hum what was because I had to turn up the volume is all. Damn. I'm
Mm.
sorry. Um, but
Poor guy.
the verbal conservative, here's the thing. Chris and Jay, they're not down with Hassan. Now hear me out. I'm not a Hassan stan, but every
Yes,
once
you
in a
are.
while, listen, I've been straying away. Every once in a while, I like to listen. I like to listen to a little bit of populism every once in a while. I know it's not realistic. I know all the
Like
things
eating
that he
junk
says.
food.
Yeah, I know all the things he never said will happen. Sometimes I just like to hear pretty
It's that
words.
Hopianism.
Yeah,
Sometimes I like to eat chocolate chip cookies, but they're not good for me. Okay.
and I also just realized that I have not changed the camera in at least the last 40 minutes. So it's been all Chris. So there also is that.
Oh, it's okay.
But no, yeah, I'm probably the biggest Hassan hater out of the three. Um,
Probably.
I am. I
Probably
am.
shit. I mean, he is the biggest.
I think he's as bad as MAGA. I don't like him. He's awful. The Democrats need to like kick him out, like the parasite he is. He leeches off of Democrats and our systems and our platform policies and everything. And then he's sitting up there saying, "Oh, don't vote for the Democrats." But Republicans bad. No, but the Democrats worse. It's like, brother, shut up and go somewhere. Go like fuck off to like Turkey or something.
Bro, horseshoe theory. He told him to go home.
He ain't
Yes,
gotta
go
be like
home.
that, homie.
Horseshoe
Yes, it
theory in
does.
practice.
I
Jesus.
just don't. I just
MAGA
don't.
Chris.
I'm on the no,
Go
no. I
back to
am
where you
strong.
came from.
I am strongly center left. Okay, progressive type person. But I will never be an extreme leftist or anything like that. I mean, he was up there
um,
with a Mao suit on, talking at the Young Democrats convention,
he's
talking about how we no more Trumpism, but also no more to moderate Democrats who keep compromising with them. Brother, most of the Democrats have like a 90% voting record on progressive policies. What are you talking about? I can't.
I didn't watch it, but what I will say, I feel like he does stuff like that on purpose, specifically to get to you.
No. To get to me?
Yeah, to people like you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. Look, okay.
I'm not saying I support it. I'm not down with the mouse.
He was at the Democrats' convention.
No, I saw
he was
yeah, but it's optics, though.
It was a Mao suit. Mao killed millions. Millions.
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I think that's bait because it keeps people saying
it's not bait. No, he actually wants to usurp the Democrat Party and change it to the communist of America and then have me kicked out because I'm a liberal.
I'm not down with it either. I'm not down with it.
Look, if you want a clear definition of how different Chris is when it comes to Hassan than me and Evan, that's it right there. Because for me, the man doesn't show up enough for me to give a damn about him. He's also not even the overwhelming representation of the party. We have already pointed out to him that we've seen a huge rejection of far left attempts to even put themselves in the middle of the party. Not because they don't agree with the policies, because they are just really bad at building a coalition and working with others. They're really fucking bad at it. That being
They're
said,
awful at it.
No, we'll talk about it.
Since we're here, do you guys want to go? What were you gonna say? Oh, okay. Since we're here,
what
do you guys? So let's just go deeper. Let's go deeper. Fox News an hour ago. New DSA platforms. Yeah, story that they posted an hour ago. New DSA platforms spark backlash. A Fox News Sunday panel discusses.
I was gonna send that to y'all. It was some dude who's like the former vice president of the DS, something like that, right? He had some position in the DSA, where he said that their platform was now to abolish the Senate.
The Senate, the presidency, the Supreme Court, and more.
I'm like, what? I can't take that seriously. I can't take that seriously. I'm not taking that seriously. No. I'm not. No. What?
Pause. Wait, Chris. Now you see what I mean by these people are unserious.
Listen,
they're not something to take seriously.
They're giving the Republicans unlimited ammo.
Right.
And that was my thing last night was when they say stuff like this, and then you have DSC members actually win, brother, the independent's going to sit there and be like, nah, I'm not voting for a Democrat. Even though they would be better than MAGA, they're going to still see those clips. It could be Tallarico. Think about Tallarico, right? And he wins his primary. Well, he's already run the primary, but like he wins. He's going up against Pax and everything. They might be thinking, gee, what happens if he wants to turn Texas into a DSA hellscape, right? That's the type of thinking that some of these fence centers, the swing voters, median voters, whatever you want to call them, are at with it, where even though it's in Texas and the DSA members are in the super blue areas, they're still going to see them as being Democrats, and that's going to be their image of what the extreme can be. Because if we could sit there and say, okay, MAGA's doing this extreme stuff, they're going to sit there and say, well, I mean, Hassan is literally wearing a mouse suit talking to Democrats. What's the difference between that and what's the difference between that and Elon Musk doing a Nazi salute? What's the difference? Nothing.
You're right.
There's no difference.
No, you're right about that. But my point was like going back to what you say, they win, brother.
Yeah.
I just like to point this out.
Go ahead.
Look at the exit polls. Look at the exit polls. Do you see that low turnout? Like that's that disastrously low.
Okay.
Yes, it's got a high number of young people. Yes, it's got a high number of young Black people. But they're in one of the bluest states.
Yeah.
One of the bluest cities in one of the deep blue districts in America.
Yeah.
Think
I
about
agree.
this.
No, I agree. I
Real
agree.
quick,
I agree with what you're saying. I do,
If
right? And
we
everything.
put if
I
we
just don't
put
like
one
the
of
ammo. I don't like the
USA
ammo.
memo, I understand. No, that's valid. That's valid.
Yeah.
If we
real
put
quick,
them in Michigan or Pennsylvania
Or
or
Florida. Or Florida.
Florida, they die in Florida. They die in Florida.
Not
Or
literally. Not literally.
Louisiana.
He's talking about
No,
electorally.
not literally.
Electorally.
They have
Electorally.
no future. If we
Right.
put them in any other state aside from these blue states, they gain nothing.
Nothing.
There's
Yeah.
a reason why Hassan has not taken his talent to the South
Talent.
because
I don't know if you call it
populism,
talent.
well, his loud mouth,
Yeah.
but
And small head.
yeah,
Go ahead.
that is a white dude talking to white people
Uh,
who just so happens to gain the ear of other people of color in these deep blue states who live in a
yeah.
different reality to you and me. They
Yeah.
would not
I'm in a purple
survive.
state.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you about
Swing
one vote
state
away from you about one vote
being a
away.
red state. From being a red state or blue state.
But
Yeah,
So
but real quick, the verbal conservative gave a hot take. Why don't we start with
ooh.
repealing the 17th?
17th Amendment.
Yes. And I
I
I
can
don't have I don't know if you guys have that memorized. If you don't, I have it pulled up.
I don't have it
What does it
memorized,
say?
but
I don't have it memorized either. What does it say? Or what
The
is it?
Senate of the Senate of the United States shall be
Oh.
composed of two senators
Oh.
from each state.
oh, when the
Oh,
no, I
expanding the
know
Senate.
now.
Oh no, I
Oh, I know
support.
now.
I do support expanding the Senate, but that would what you need what 2/3 of the states
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's a high
So
threshold to change
well,
I
that.
have a
It
question.
is.
we don't know what he means by we don't know what he would want. Like he said
We,
what why don't
he
we
might
start
mean
with
expand it.
repealing it?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. So does he mean either get
Well,
rid of it or
he said he's
expand it?
libertarian, so I don't think that he'd want to add to it.
Yeah, so that's why
Maybe
I'm
get rid
asking.
of it entirely. Not expanding.
That's
Oh
why
yeah,
I'm
he's talking
asking.
about getting rid of it. Oh yeah, yeah. He's talking about
Oh,
getting rid of it entirely.
oh, okay. Oh no, no.
I I don't
And also, after that, he said, "I'm falling in love with this stream."
oh
So
good. Hey,
So
thanks, man.
we're gonna play nice.
so uh,
I'll be right back.
Good.
me personally,
I can hear you guys.
okay. I'm much more in favor of expanding the Senate. I want the Senate. The Senate used to its original purpose. Well, not original, but its
Hmm.
foundation was meant to represent those in these smaller areas that
Yes.
couldn't that were often
Couldn't get a whole lot of
misrepresented or
seats in the
yeah,
house.
couldn't get
Yeah.
a whole lot of seats. The problem here is that this is not the same American from 1902 or
Hmm.
1940. We're a bigger
Hmm.
country. We're a
Yeah.
bigger country. So I'm much more in favor of
Expanding.
re-amending that amendment and expanding it to as many districts as possible. As long as there's a population there, they should have a voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
think that's the
it should
best way to
not
go about
matter
it.
more than the other. It should not
Yeah,
matter more than the other. But you get a voice. You get a senator to represent your district. You get a senator to represent yours. Each district has a senator to represent them across the country. We
hmm
Louisiana has two senators. Both are Republican, but at least one of those senators presides over, well, before they gerrymander things,
Hmm.
a vast majority of blue cities in Louisiana. And the rest of them, and the rest of the districts themselves don't have anybody there. That's why the gerrymandering itself is ridiculous, but that's not the point. I don't want to get on a tangent with that. The point that I'm making here is that I'm not in favor of getting rid of it. I'm in favor of expanding it to everyone who has who's in a district with actual people. You should have a say.
Yeah.
If you're an American, I'm diving into more American exceptionalism, but if you're an American, you should have a say, whether you're
Which the son doesn't
conservative or
believe
not.
in.
Who cares about a Hassan? Um, but um, as long as you have, as long as you're an American, you need to have a say just as much as everybody else. And no vote should be more represented than the other. We need competence in the Senate,
Yeah.
not 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 extremism. We
Right.
need normal people representing us, and their first priority should always be about the betterment of their constituents. And if they
Did you
can't fit
see
that bill, then we could talk about it.
did you see his
That's true.
responses? He said repealing it, meaning going back to state legislators instead of popular vote. Before the 17th, each state appointed senators not by pop vote, but by who controls the state political apparatus.
Do you not see how that's a okay? I know I'm trying not to
And he
sound
said
antagonistic.
would solve gerrymandering.
Has it? Okay, when they destroyed the last bit of the Voting Rights Act, what happened with the South?
Oh, hold on,
Look
guys. I'll be right
how
back.
many
Okay.
look how many uh, 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 conservative legislators control the state legislature. They diluted the voting power of not just black people, but they diluted the voting power of other minorities of color. That's not representation. That's them controlling the state and seizing power for themselves so they can maintain the status quo. If it was, we're seeing what happens when it's left up to state legislators
Oh
right
yeah,
here, right
especially in the
now.
South. Especially in the South. Yeah.
And I say all that to say is, I mean, I say all that to say, removing the black part of it, removing the fact that I'm a black person, removing that
Hmm.
part from it. If they do it to me, what's stopping them from doing it to you? Because they'll do it to you. If it means they maintain their positions in Congress, they will do it to you. Because we saw recently with the big beautiful bill, they took away people's health care,
Yeah.
and
Medicaid,
that's
SNAP. Yeah.
nationwide. Imagine what they would do at the state level. They would have the power to take your they take your voice and eliminate it. Look what North Carolina does. They completely overrule the will of the people. I'll be damned if I let that happen.
And honestly,
Yeah. And that's it.
I don't know when the 17th Amendment went into effect, but I feel like the old way is probably something that contributed to civil war, honestly. If I had to
It,
guess, I don't know.
um,
Yeah, because well, I was thinking with the 17th, it seems like if you just leave it up to states, it can lead to even more aggressive gerrymandering, right?
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We saw what happened.
Yeah, because and that would be the problem is that now you have states that are gerrymandering their districts to death to the point it dilutes certain voices, and
I mean,
that can impact legislation for the entire country. That's where the issue becomes. At least when it is the way it is in the Senate, it senators have to kind of moderate. When it comes to statewide elections, if you're running as a senator, you're gonna have to moderate yourself. Like it's the reason why you don't get like really really far left leaning Democrats in Senate is because you have to appeal to a broad base of people. It's the reason why some of the, like Susan Collins, for example, even though she's voted with Trump, she's definitely seen as a more, kind of moderate Republican figure. If
well,
they think she's a rhino, then she's so that's kind of the thing is that I believe we should expand the Senate, but I think repealing it might lead to other issues and problems that we might
yeah, I mean,
see. You know,
well,
that
there's
yeah,
a reason why there are more Republicans than there are Democrats. Not because it's about win and not being able to win the seats. We've seen independents win that caucus with Democrats. It's not impossible, and it's not improbable at all. The way the Senate was made was to keep the Republicans in positions of power, not because they were slimy, but because as Black people and by proxy, other people of color started to gain more rights. They were left leaning not because they were. agreeable on policy and stuff like that. It was about, well, these senators aren't really taking care of me, and they're often hostile. So I'm going to vote for the least
Hmm.
hostile candidate. So look at it like that.
Yep.
Um,
I'm searching something, y'all. Just give me if I'm
and
looking away. If I'm looking away, just know that's just me searching
and
stuff.
and what I will say, like I used to be a big states' rights guy. It's a hard topic for
Mm.
me because I still have that old programming, but like
I I understand. Like,
I'm for states' rights, but at this point in my life now it's more I'm more for that when it comes to like state specific issues because I don't
yeah, like
want and but real quick because I feel like the verbal conservative can understand this from the libertarian side depending on what type of libertarian he is, but
right.
what I don't like about states' rights is when we get into the situation of abortion or gay marriage. I don't like, and I'm not saying that that's what you're doing. I'm not saying that, but I just feel like there's a line that should be in place, and I feel like I'm all for states' rights until it impedes something that helps the nation as a whole. So if we're
Mm.
talking about like how a state wants to manage their roads or how a state wants to manage their forests, which that even can run into an issue because what if you get someone in power in a state who wants to cut down their forests? You need the federal government to step in and stop that. But I'm just trying
Right.
to think of like more state specific issues, but
Like
I don't know.
every
It's
state
it's a
has its
fine line.
own
It's a fine line for me.
every state has its own geographical makeup, so they're going to require different needs and wants and everything, and of course even its own economic makeup, right? California, they have a lot of billionaires and rich people that live there. You don't want all of them, and California relies on their wealth in order to fund a lot of their state programs. If they all were to leave, well, that would, pretty much put them in a hole. So they do what they can to keep them there and everything. Whereas, other states might not have that same, problem or whatever. And so that's kind of, an example of, all right, states have to look out for different issues that affect their states. But when it comes to, I guess, other issues, I think it's okay for the federal government to step in and say, hey, look, we can't allow you to do that, which
Yeah.
makes sense.
And the verbal conservative said, isn't it better to solve these topics locally and not a one size fits all federal policy? And I understand where you're coming from. I guess what I'm trying to say is I want the states to have a say. But, like, for example, like right now, we're seeing a huge federal overreach, right?
Hmm.
I
Oh
don't want to
yeah,
create a
absolutely.
scenario where on the flip side of that, because you go from one extreme to another, where then states have overreaches. You know what I mean? I want the Fed and the state to be able to keep each other in check in a healthy way.
Hmm.
Because if you go
Yeah,
Hmm.
too far on either side, someone's going to
right.
take advantage of that. I guess that's the best way I
Yeah.
can put it.
I, I I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
okay. I think uh we have to look at it like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Look at it like what happens when the state decides they know more, or they know what's better for the people than the people themselves. And for instance, like we just mentioned, the state we already seen state legislators uh feeling emboldened by the president and just
Yeah.
completely
Hmm.
taking
With gerrymandering and everything. Yeah.
Jared, redistricting the map, changing, cratering their own districts to potentially give themselves even more seats in the House so they can maintain power.
Or
If
maintain
they are
Trump's
willing,
power, more
yeah,
specifically. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm trying to word it in such a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
removes Trump from the point, because if they're doing this while he's here, what happens when he's gone and they feel just as emboldened?
Mm.
So think of it like think of it like this: if I just decided as one of the state legislators. Oh, you guys voted to up your minimum wage? Nope. You want more? You want us to represent even more people within the state? Nope. We'll just focus on this single district. This single district now. This will be the representation of the entire state, filled with millions and millions of Americans. No, no.
Yeah.
That leaves us up for more corruption. Like one of the things I was googling is the 17th Amendment and the original purpose. And like one of the most the most direct statements here is that the original purpose of the system was to allow allow the prevention of state legislators to be influenced by bribes, patronage, or political deals, which which was leading to just corruption. But we're seeing what happens when we kick it back to the states.
Oh yeah.
State
And
legislators have gone like full on authoritarian by saying we're going to eliminate political power, and we'll start by doing it to black people because they're the gateway to democracy. They are though. Like how America got to its current status. Well, it's now cratering status of being the leader of the of being a representation of a free world is because of the corrections we attempted to make to black people, and by proxy to black people, it became accessible to other people of color, and then just due to that proxy, white
Yeah.
people themselves even gained even more rights. Because the gateway to democracy is by protecting and taking care of the most vulnerable. And historically, that is Native Americans, Black people, and other people of color. And because you're taking care of them, that then breeds just a net positive for you because those rights then transition to your success. That is how that works. That is why, while it is, while it might feel good in the moment to be hyper individualistic, we're seeing what happens when we view it in such a absolute type of way, because state legislators have proven just recently that they do not have the ability to uh, not think about their own positions of power uh, as compared to just listening to the average American that simply is just trying to survive.
right.
Yeah. A perfect
And
example of that
wait,
is looking at the.
real quick, because the verbal conservative asked a question. And
Mm-hmm.
did one of you guys bring up the EPA? Because I was actually about to bring that up in response to his
I
question.
did, but I was going to bring up
I think
the
Chris did.
public. I was going to bring up the public education system as an
Okay, well,
example of what Jamal was talking about when it comes to federal versus local power, and how, having some federal programs are good because it benefits not just, minority people, as he said, but also by proxy white people. And I was going to bring up, about, how public education was before we had the Department of Education and everything.
got it. Real quick, because the verbal conservative asks, "What's the check on federal powers?" And it's just ironic that the EPA, we're talking about the Environmental Protection Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
well,
ironic.
yeah,
It's
go ahead.
ironic that that got brought up because what I was actually going to say in his response to his question, "What's the check on federal powers?" I was going to say in that regard, um, why can't I talk? I was going to say in that regard to answer the question,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think the state should be able because, and the reason I'm hesitating is because I don't know what states are for this and what states aren't. I mean, I imagine I can guess, and I don't
Yeah.
know what states are going to step in to resist this. But what they're doing with the EPA is a perfect example because if the state should be able to step in and say no, which I don't know if they can or not in a lot of these cases, but they should be able to step in and say no. You're not cutting down these habitats of these animals. I don't care what the federal government said. It's not happening. And
And
I
it's
just
probably
wanted
going
to
to go through the courts. It's probably going to go through the courts and everything.
yeah.
If
So
certain states say no, we're not going to do that, it'll probably go to court, and then from there they're going to make their decision. I imagine if it how far. I don't know how far to get, but yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually going to use that as an example in response to this question, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that I want the Fed to just be able to just blanket impose whatever they want to impose, and then the states can't do nothing about it. I do want the states to be able to push back. I just don't want the pendulum to swing too far.
Yeah, the state should be able to push back where it makes sense, and
I'm
to
trying,
you
and
know,
I'm gonna try to think of another example of check on federal powers while Chris talks.
but
Hmm.
yeah, as I was gonna say before, like, I was gonna expand on this point about why not handle things locally. Well, for a long time, a certain like education, for example, was definitely handled locally, right? The problem with that is if you didn't have a schoolhouse with that was in walking distance where your child get to, if you didn't have someone who was going to teach, usually it was a woman. I think exclusively it was a woman. Then your kid couldn't learn how to read or do math or whatever it was. So the government then came in and said, "Hey, look, we need to create a system where everyone has equal access to education because a lot of these poorer states don't have equal access to education. Not every kid can get a quality education." And so that was when the Department of Education was formed. A lot of people think it was formed just to increase test scores or dictate how curriculum goes. No. The beautiful thing about it is that they leave it up to the states. Like Florida has its state standards and benchmarks and state testing. Missouri has theirs. Georgia has theirs. Michigan has theirs. Like every single state has its own state Department of Education, but the federal agency ensures that there's equal access to make sure that IEP students and students with disabilities and have access to their of accommodations and what they are legally allowed to be able to, in terms of their resources and everything. So I think that's important to keep in mind is that, yeah, locally, sometimes it works, but when it doesn't, you want to, over someone overseeing it to step in and say, hey, you need to be, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that this district has a school, this district has a school, because otherwise, the poorest districts in the entire state or in the country wouldn't be able to, educate everybody. It would just be a free for all. And if you live in a state or in an area where it's not a lot of people that, can pay taxes or property taxes to school budgets, well, guess what? You're just going to have a lot of students that can't go to school, or the education will be or the quality education won't be good enough for them to compete in jobs and everything. So, that's kind of an example of why, locally, it's good that we have, some sort of federal government to say, hey, locally you can't do it, but hey, we have the funds to do it thanks to taxpayer dollars and everything.
And
That was the point I was going to make.
I think you guys are going to see a little bit of a split in the road here, but his next question was right, but we agree there is a lot of waste on that path, right?
Yeah,
Well,
we know it's a waste, but we
yeah,
don't want
we
to
know.
go to the
Yeah.
extreme and just completely cut
Well,
it. Like with what this administration is doing, we agree that there is more that we can do to make sure that the money is
uh,
efficiently spent. But if we cut down on these programs and institutions, that doesn't help anything. So there's a middle road, right?
well,
There's going too
yeah.
far where we're just over regulating and overseeing and doing too much, and then there's the other extreme where we're just cutting everything. There has to be a middle road where we say, okay, look, we're going to fund these schools and all this stuff, but make sure we have qualified teachers, make sure equal access to education. But, I think that's kind of where it needs to be is how do we spend the dollars, not get rid of the system entirely. I think that's where the conversation needs to be at. And right now, current administration isn't interested in how we spend the money or how we can raise the revenue. It's more interested in just cutting the system if it's not bringing in immediate profit or whatever or however they view it.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
Having
mean,
that's
something to
my point.
add?
yeah. I was gonna say, I was gonna say, uh, an example of the importance of uh, when we talk about waste, we be specific. For example, I live in Louisiana. Our state legislators have worked very hard at stopping mayors, both Republican and Democrat, uh, trying to correct the mistakes of the previous administration when it comes to flooding. Uh, the
Mm,
state will vote for flooding packages, and then we just never see the money. Just the drainages don't get unclogged.
Mm,
They don't get checked out every. I believe it's like every 2 years that they're supposed to be checked out, and it's because the state will vote on the money for it, and then it just never comes to us. Never comes to us, and so that's a mark of uh, wasted funds because the money's not even coming to us. It's being embezzled by our own state legislators. And how do we define waste? Because like I have a friend who he's now
mm,
a centrist. He's now a centrist, but he was a Trump supporter, and he would define waste by misappropriation. But that's not even waste. That's a failure of state legislators not being
yeah,
competent enough
But
to
just
uh,
to
to
chime
apply
in,
that.
I
Mhm.
we gotta acknowledge how one could see that as waste, though.
Oh no, no, no! I
You
know that's
know,
why I said we should really work on how we
yeah,
define waste because
yeah.
and
I need a charger.
it is a waste of. Oh, I probably will need one in like the next hour, so I might just go non camera after a little bit. But
I feel you.
but uh, that that is what I would mark as waste because uh that the money that uh we told our state legislators to vote for is not being sent to us. That's waste. What's not waste is taking care of your fellow citizen, someone who's would agree with you. Uh, Schools should be funded. Uh, the
Yeah.
the the Girl Scouts should be uplifted instead of defunded. Boy Scouts uplifted instead of defunded. We
Yep.
should be promoting. I don't know how old. Well, everybody is here. We're all around the same age, but I don't know if y'all used to remember. Schools used to give us these big ass boxes of candy bars that we had to sell to
Oh,
to 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 to
well,
you know
nowadays, well, as a teacher, I could speak from, yeah, the thing of it is, like with field trips and stuff, the school, unless they like have the money, like
yeah
one of our charter schools, but the students, if they want to go on a field trip nowadays, they have to raise money for that field trip. They have to sell, not, well, used to be chocolate bars. Now it's Krispy Kreme donuts. That's like the biggest thing. They sell Krispy Kreme donuts or have bake sales. One year we did a car wash for end of the year activities, and people would donate how much ever they wanted, to the sixth graders and everything. So yeah, it's not how it used to be. Is that these kids have to actually raise money and do these things in order to have any sort of end of the year activities or a field trip or whatever it is. But it would be great if, people pay just a little bit more into their taxes and then have like a field trip fund for each grade level, right? I
yeah
mean, because you're spending that money on the donations or, the fundraising anyway. You might as well just take it out people's taxpayer dollars and then have kids go on an educational field trip. Have the school leaders and the school board approve the field trips, make sure it's educational, make sure, it's beneficial and all that. But yeah, I think that's kind of the point that you're getting at, is that you want those things to be well funded and everything. And it would be great if they could just tax a little bit more or just, I'm pretty sure all the bombs and missiles we spent in an Iranian war could have been spent giving it to some of these poor districts and schools on, sending kids to a field trip. It's so we have the money. America has the money. And I think those things are also beneficial because kids do learn from seeing just different experiences and being around different people. I think that's important because some of them, their parents don't have the money to take them to see, to a museum or something, or go to a historical site or whatever. But the fact they might have that at school is, again, it's a benefit. It's more of a benefit in the long term than it is a drain. So yeah,
yeah no I agree. That's why I said we should we should really work on how we define waste because we've seen how certain GOP members define waste, and they define Medicare as waste. They define public school funding as waste. That's not waste to me. It's not waste to your average American. And so for that, for that, I think to the average American, waste is a misappropriation of funds. Uh, you know, things that we vote on not being directly affected. Not us not seeing that direct change. Um, and those are just two examples off the top of my head. But like I said, for me, it would be flood insurance. I mean, flooding prevention, and uh,
Yeah.
that's a waste of funds because if the state legislature votes for it, and then we don't see those funds, and we find out 6 months later that it's been embezzling by our GOP members, that's wasted funds because they took that money from us. That's literally fraud and abuse and wasted funds. That's
Mm.
Yeah.
fraud and waste right
Hey,
there.
hey, I'm gonna go right quick and eat. But hey, if y'all get
Okay,
off stream, it's fine. But if y'all back, or y'all still on when I'm done, I'll of course join.
I'm
okay. I mean,
rocking as long as you guys are.
yeah.
And the verbal conservative, while I was gone, um, said, okay, what about getting rid of zero-based budgeting? And I have to Google that because I am just an average dude and I don't know what that is.
Oh, I know. Well, it's not that I know what it is, but I also have to re-Google because I believe I saw an article specifically about this. Give me like 5 minutes because
No problem.
I know what you mean. So like, give me like 5 minutes
We got
if I can find
zero-based.
it.
Oh, I'm Googling here. We got zero-based budgeting as a financial strategy where every expense must be justified from scratch for every new period, rather than just adding a small increase to last year's budget. In politics, it is um, a polarizing tool used by reformers to cut government waste and by critics who find it unworkable.
Hang on, I'll be back.
No problem. Um, are you now? This is gonna seem random. But there's a reason I ask. Are you religious or no? Man of faith, Christian? I am too. I'm Christian. Not process. Did you mean not practicing? Oh, the reason I asked is because for a couple days I was making videos on social media, um, and I was targeting evangelical MAGA Christians, and I was essentially what I was trying to say. I was I was challenging their morals when it comes to claiming to be a person of Jesus, but um cheering on a lot of the bad things that ICE is doing to people. And I got a lot of negative feedback from them for that. So I was just that's the reason I brought it up because it's fresh on my mind. Had a lot of friends die recently, been thinking about it. You know, I'm sorry to hear that. And that is something that has been very, very common and a reoccurring thing in my life. So I get it. I'm there with you. I haven't had any recently, but I've had over the course of my life or the last 10 years, well, actually, even if I take it back to high school, I'll have random stints where I'll have people go in bunches and it's tough. And it definitely makes you think about that. What do you mean? A request button. The service that I'm using, I'm maxed out on seats because I don't pay for the premium edition. So I've got 4 seats in here. There's 3 of us, but I have 2. One is for managing the stream from my laptop and one is for my phone. So I've maxed out on seats, but in the future, I'm hoping to have more seats. Like I think the next plan up like allows like 10 seats. The only thing is it's just like hard because when you're streaming, especially a new streamer, um, and obviously I'm not saying that I'm worried about this with you, but when you're a new streamer and you don't know who you're bringing on, you kind of risk getting your page blown up. So that's why I haven't been like in too much of a rush to try to get more seats. But I've definitely been putting thought towards it though. Yeah, no, nothing yet. I'm trying to think of a good question. How do I feel about the Second Amendment? Is that guns? I'm terrible. I don't have amendments memorized. Yeah. Oh, the right to bear arms. I'm all about it. I have one myself for home protection. Um, I I
All
guess
right.
I would say, oh, welcome back. We're talking about the Second Amendment right now.
Okay,
Um,
my phone was getting ready to die. I had to run
oh,
and go find a charger.
no, I get it. I had to throw my laptop on the charger. I mean, I guess the only thing that I could say with the Second Amendment, just because we have so many guns in circulation and so many people have them, I guess I wish our background process was I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that they deny people, but I guess we were just a little bit more strict on some people who could get them. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I, okay, so full disclosure, I live in the South. I don't know any Democrat in the South that doesn't own a gun.
Yeah.
I don't know any Democrat that lives in the South that doesn't own a gun. Let me just preface that I own a gun. I have to go
Me.
next week and actually renew my shit. But uh, the Second Amendment is pretty self-explanatory and it's pretty
Yeah.
simple. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the shortest amendments uh, that we have to be able to just be read just as what exactly it says.
Yeah.
But I am as a responsible gun owner, I believe in stricter background checks.
Yeah.
I believe that, in my opinion, if you do get a gun, you need more than just, at least if you're younger, you need more than just basic uh, firearm training.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like in the future is up for discussion. But above that, I don't have anything against the Second Amendment. My gun stays concealed, whether I'm going to, well, I'm just going out to go get something to eat, or uh, I'm going in the public area that allows,
Yeah.
concealed carry.
Yeah. Seeing me, I don't know if you guys are similar to us. I don't have my concealed carry. I just keep mine at home. I'm more worried
Hmm.
about home invasions, though now that I have a
Yeah,
daughter, I'm more concerned about having
yeah,
mine in
that makes
public and
sense.
I should probably get my concealed.
Yeah.
Um, for us, the way the process goes, so like when I bought mine,
Hmm.
they just did a background check. My record was completely clean, so I think I got mine and was out of there probably in like 10 15 minutes. But I didn't go on to get my concealed.
Yeah,
Here when you get your concealed, like you have to do like a basic like course. Well, for handguns at least. Like you have to
yeah.
do like a basic course. You have to, go with like an actual licensed instructor and fire it and things like that. Is that you guys don't have to do that there to get your concealed?
Uh, I'm pretty sure it's I'm pretty sure it's different now. My governor, he 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 pushed through a an unconcealed carry. I have to double check, but it was a he changed that concealed carry to being a lot more looser, and there was a legitimately and almost immediately a direct consequence of that decision, where he has this attempted to sidestep and say, "Listen, we just got to work on young people." No, brother, this is a consequence of your executive order.
Yeah.
That being said, uh, that being said, to my knowledge, we got a lot more looser gun laws here. Um, uh, that to my knowledge, we have a lot more looser gun laws in Louisiana, and as a result, the restrictions and stuff are not as restricted. That's the best way I could word that without double checking. I can though,
Yeah.
but
The verbal conservative said he has a they have a gun safety course and a 7-day waiting period. And this is one of them things where I wish now stay with me, but I wish that it wasn't state to state.
yeah,
And the reason that I say that is because I am pro gun. And so like for example, like New York, they're strict as hell about guns and I don't like it. Like I'm pretty
yeah.
sure like I'm going off my memory here, but like can't you not have a handgun at all in the state of New
Oh
York?
shit, is that true?
Cause hold on. Cause like if I remember, I have family in upstate New York. And I remember, well, actually, before I say that out loud, let me see. Can you have a handgun in New York? Yes, you can own one, but it's strictly regulated. Did they change this? Because I don't know. Either way, apparently they're super strict about it. But the point that I'm trying to make is I don't like the fact that there are states that can be more restrictive about guns. I feel like it should just be a blanket um
Yeah, no, I
same
agree.
law for all 50 states. And I mean, because this is the thing, it's literally it's in the Constitution for a reason. Like,
Yeah,
so
I agree, and uh, I know the topic is safety over. There goes some safety over some freedoms, and I'm like, there's a way to do that without staunchly stepping on uh personal freedoms.
yeah,
And I know there's a way to do it because because before Columbine, I hate bringing that up, but it was the thing that got everybody to pay attention, whether we like it or not. Before Columbine, there weren't stricter protections, and the NRA
yeah,
has worked very hard on weakening those protections, and the Supreme Court has done all but show a complete lack of morality when it comes to these gun laws, because they could still rule in such a narrow way that said, okay, this can't stay, but this can. They could
yeah,
do that, but so far they've gone completely like mask off. No, unwell people should be able to have guns. Maybe not, because some
yeah,
unwell people use these tools, which primarily is for protection, as murder weapons.
yeah.
Unwell
And
people who have like PB, BPD, or just like just overall like just violent tendencies should not have these type of guns. They can have some type of weapon, maybe a taser or you know, a gun taser or some shit, but not a freaking firearm that ends with death.
Yeah, and because then too, this is my two things with it. The first thing is you can't unarm civilian populations. I mean,
Yeah,
we've all seen history. We've all seen what that leads to.
yeah,
That leads to governmental overreach. So we're
yes,
not down with that. And then on the flip side, if you try to over-regulate guns or outright ban them, you're just creating a black market. And
yeah,
America has approved as look at alcohol. They banned
yes.
alcohol. What did that do? If they ever tried something like that, it,
I
it
mean, they
wouldn't
tried it
work.
before during the Reconstruction era,
Yeah.
and you know, it didn't do well.
Guns is it's just in our modern times, it's one of those things that aren't going away. So you just got to
No,
regulate it.
and that's why I'm like, look, I'm fine with the Second Amendment. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I live in the South. Like the myth of Democrats and people on the left not having guns is probably only something that exists in blue states.
Yeah.
No
And
one in Louisiana that I know, and even people I don't know, people I go to school with, people I work with that are on the left, everybody has a fucking gun.
yeah.
Whether it's
And
just a
I,
handgun, they have a gun.
and I don't know how people like when I got my first house in 2017, I closed on my house. The
Yeah,
next thing I did, I went to the gun store and I got a
bro,
gun.
bro.
Yeah.
My mother used to carry around a gun taser, and after she experienced her first school shooting, that lady went to the gun range, spent 2 hours there just, you know, practicing, and then she bought another handgun and was like, one's for the house and one for if somebody tries something stupid to my students ever again.
Yeah.
Now in Louisiana, by the way, in Louisiana, I did go ahead and research the new uh, gun laws for 20 that were passed in 2014. Just because I mean, excuse me, in 24, due to the governor's push to try to get cozy to Donald Trump. Louisiana now allows concealed carry firearms without a permit for an individual uh, between the ages of 18 to 20. You The state does not require a permit for possessions of rifles, shotguns, or handguns.
Yeah.
However, carrying a firearm in you know, in a public area specifically, excuse me, not public, in a private area like schools or other private property is strictly unlawful and strictly prohibited. You will be arrested on site.
Yeah.
So even in backwards Louisiana with a relatively uh, incompetent governor, there are still gun laws to try to prevent certain type of people getting a hold of things.
That's true. Trying to think of what else I wanted to touch on.
Hey, hold up.
That's why you don't see gun racks that
No, he's not wrong though.
yeah,
No, he's not wrong at all.
and then that's the other thing too. The majority I don't understand the people who are so anti-gun because the majority of people who own guns, you're never even going to know that they have one. You're never going
Yeah,
to see it.
like
Like
unless
I
they're like
in
they're looking for a reaction, and because there are people that do go to these that do go to public areas with their firearms, particularly large firearms, to look for a reaction.
oh yeah.
They might not even
Yeah.
do anything, but they're looking for a reaction.
Yeah, I'm not big on the way I feel about what do they call themselves? Like government auditors.
Yeah,
Um I feel the same way about the people who do that and post it to the internet as I do people who record themselves doing good deeds for the homeless and post it to the internet.
Now, I will say this about okay, homeless is a different story for me. I think if you're gonna do that, there's no reason you need to tell everybody that that's what you're doing. If you're gonna do it, you
Yeah.
do it. That being said, I'm conflicted on not recording good deeds because we see too much bad for there not to be some fucking balance.
Yeah.
I Even if it's for selfish reasons, as long as the good deed is genuine and it's not just performative, I want that to be shown. I want to see a little kid going to the zoo and plugging in like 100+ hours reading to the chimpanzees. I just saw that 20 minutes ago. He plugged in 100 hours of volunteer work reading to animals. That's good work. I want to see that.
That
That
that's
promotes
cool.
That's
good
crazy.
shit.
I'm
But
talking
I,
you're
I
not
about
want that.
wrong. But no, that is good. That is a good deed. Yeah.
No, but I
I'm
know what you're
talking
talking about.
about
The social
you
media fake homeless thing.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
stuff
What
like
are we
that.
Yeah.
talking about? Oh, that's what we're talking about.
We went from gun laws to what we're really talking about is auditors. And what I'm going to say, because like for
Hmm.
example with the police or government auditors or whatever, it's like I get it. Okay,
Excuse me.
I understand. But like when you get in tactical gear and then go out into a residential and have a rifle and you're standing there
Hmm.
looking crazy, I don't mind making sure that the police know how to properly handle that situation. What I don't like is when they're arrogant and pompous about it and they have
Yeah.
like the demeanor that is, who are you to think that you can even approach me and ask me what's going on? Because even if you can do it, I'm much more comfortable in a world where the police officer will at least walk up to you and say, "Hey, are you good? You look crazy." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I
Yeah.
feel like that's not unreasonable. Like that's just human
No.
interaction.
Hmm.
And I'm not against. And like I said, I'm not really against uh large
Guns.
firearms or anything like that.
Mm.
No, I'm not against large firearms or like anything like that. But I don't think you should be bringing that into public areas. A handgun is
Oh
fine.
no.
I would
Oh
understand that.
no. Yeah.
I'm not gonna trip about that. I don't want you bringing your large firearms into public areas. That's even if you have no intention of using it. Why the fuck do you have it in a public area full of people when historically that we already know what type of response that usually
Yeah.
causes?
Y'all. Y'all
You have
saw
to
the
be going there to
woman.
look for your reaction.
Y'all saw that black woman some weeks ago who parked her car and then no, yeah, it was someone they were fighting over parking spaces, a black woman, older white man and everything, and eventually she got the parking space and then she got out her car and he was walking towards her and she pulled a gun out on him. I'm like, oh god. And of course she ended up shooting him. The man ended up dying and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. It's just when people have guns on them like that, it makes it to where they feel in more cases than not feel the need to actually use it when they don't need to use it, and that's the only thing about it is I'm all right with people having guns. I have no problem with you owning a firearm or anything like that. I'm not a anti like no gun, just regulate them and make sure crazy people don't have them. Fine with me, right? But yeah, in terms of having it out in public, I don't know. It just it's always
But now
a chance people could pop
are
off or someone could get angry and then like
oh
Florida has had so many instances where people started shooting each other over like road rage stuff. It's crazy.
we gotta two things. First, I'm just gonna say I'm the type of person to not even fight over the parking space. You can have it. I don't care.
No, you can have that shit.
But the verbal now me 10 years ago, that's a different story. But the verbal conservative, he asked, "Do you think Rittenhouse was guilty?" Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think he. Well, I mean, okay, based on all that was reported, one, he didn't belong there. He crossed state lines to be there. Two, That's a 16-year-old. I don't care whether his intention was to protect property or not. You came there with a firearm, and according to the reports, you did instigate a problem, and you did result in killing two people, even if you didn't intend it to. That's got to be second. What is that? What is
I
it? Second degree manslaughter.
Second, yeah,
But
it would have to be because I don't think his intentions were to kill someone, but the fact
yeah, I
that he
don't think
went
he
there with
intended to kill anybody.
with an open gun, it's like okay, you carrying the gun is already like okay, are you like illegally allowed to do this? The
Yeah,
next problem is you showed up to a place where you knew there was going to be a clash going on, like the tensions were
yeah,
high, so you went there looking for trouble, not trying to kill people, but you knew trouble was going to be
yeah,
about and you and again people started agitating him and
yeah.
instead of just removing himself from the situation he didn't back down, they didn't back down, and it was in the lies. Now that's a situation where I feel like it should have been like manslaughter or something, or
Yeah.
like
I don't think he intended to
especially
kill anybody.
no, I don't think he did. And I just don't think that's a situation that seems like a very preventable situation. If anybody in that situation, especially him, would have thought, gee, this might cause someone to lose their life. I'm not gonna go or whatever. But what bothers me even more so after the ruling, because the ruling is like, okay, whatever, is how the Republicans propped him up like some hero. That is the
Yeah.
wildest part. That's and I know they do that a lot. They take these mediocre individuals and prop them up and put them on a pedestal and act like they are like true patriots because they carried a
Yeah.
gun to a protest. That's the part that really bothers me too. But I do think he was probably guilty of manslaughter. I didn't follow the cases closely enough to give
No,
any like
I don't think
specific
he.
details about what was said and what evidence was brought forth and all that, but it just seems like a situation on the surface, again surface,
Yeah.
where yeah, probably should have gotten some jail time, probably.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
real quick, what I just want to add in, the thing that I struggle with, and I'm not trying to do whataboutism, but it's just kind of reality. The thing that I
Mhm.
struggle with when it comes to situations like that is we know that if it was a person of color that did the same thing
Oh yeah, they would have thrown the book
with
at him.
kind of like
Yeah,
reversed roles of like who was protesting, it just bothers me because I know it would have been an entirely different media story.
Absolutely.
That's the part of
yeah,
it. That's the part of it that bothers me. I'm not trying to do the
yeah.
thing, but I'm doing the thing. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go a little bit. Well, wait. How old was he? Was 16 when he did it?
Yeah. He was
16,
16.
17, yeah,
So he was a minor when he did it.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay, then I'll be fair. If he was a minor, then he when he did it, then I'm going to say I don't think that he showed up there. I he I'm giving him grace because
Yeah.
when I was
Because
That's
six, I
fine.
wouldn't have.
he was young and dumb. He was
Yeah,
young and dumb.
but
Yeah.
if this was a full grown adult, I'd have a different tune, and I'd say that they went there with the intention to do harm to someone.
Yeah. Like I said,
I think,
I don't
yeah,
think he went there to kill anybody. To be real with you, I don't think that was his intention. That being said, I still don't think he should have been there in the first place. And the person I hold the most accountable for that is
is his
his
mom.
mother.
Yeah,
Is his mother.
Yeah, he was
yeah,
17.
yeah.
He should
Yeah, and
have
that's a
not been
hundred.
there.
That's 110%. Yeah, that's honestly the real conversation that we should be having
Is
is
about the
what
mother. Yeah,
is the parents.
yeah.
Because like for
Hmm.
example, like that I don't know if you guys remember, this happened in Oxford, Michigan some years ago, but that kid that shot the school,
Hmm.
hold on. You remember?
No, you're gonna have
Uh,
to be more
I think I
what
think I
like what the
know what you.
details are.
I think I know specifically the incident you're talking about. But go ahead,
It
Evan. Go
it was
just
it
give a
was
recap.
2021, Ethan Crumley.
Okay.
Yes, yes, I know.
Uh
Yeah, okay.
yeah, he went, so I'm pretty sure, I'm looking it up, but I'm pretty sure didn't the parents end up getting in trouble for that? Now
Yes,
I
I
know.
believe they were
Oh,
held
now,
accountable.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think his parents got something happened to. I vaguely remember there was a shooting incident that happened where the parents were also charged for neglect something, and because they let them, they put the gun in a place where he could easily get it. Something about child endangerment or something. I could be wrong,
And
but
that
I
and to take it back to conversation earlier, this is another area where I wish that we just had blanket law. I don't like that you have so like for I'm going to give a very specific example. Like what state was the state where that party store owner just killed that kid who didn't steal anything but they thought he
Was
stole
that
something?
South Carolina? Was that
South
South Carolina?
Carolina. Yeah. So in South
hmm
Carolina, they just have murder. There's no like degrees. Like
oh wow.
it's just murder. So what I got this from the Jam. So Jay, you might have saw this too. So like the way that works
Mm.
is you create environments where people get off
Yeah.
because you can't it's either worse murder or it's not. So like for example, that guy was able to walk because they created all these
Dang.
what's the word I'm looking for? They
Policies,
couldn't.
rules, loopholes.
Yeah, yeah, intent, this, that, and the third. So like I wish that we lived in a country where murder was treated the same in every state. That's where I'd be more
Oh yeah.
federal leaning. I'd be more federal leaning. And this is um me while you guys were gone, me and the verbal conservative had a bit of a conversation about losing people close to us. As you guys know, in 2019, a friend of mine was murdered. Um, the person who did that, they ended up getting they ended up getting like 60 years or something like that. So he'd be getting out in
Mm.
his 80s if he doesn't end up,
Wow.
getting parole or whatever. But like
Yeah.
as someone who lived and this is me, a person of color, my friend was white, he was killed by a black man. So you see how I'm compromised here and having these type of conversations because I know how the system disproportionately treats black people, but I wish he would have gotten life. Um and
Yeah.
I say that to say I wish that we just had a blanket. And I know sometimes the degrees of murder protect people who maybe shouldn't get a harsher sentence, but
Like
I
I
just
don't know if y'all saw today. Um, it had came out. It was all. I mean, as soon as I clicked on the article, I saw it all over my feed. But there was a incident where mom shot a 20-year-old man as because the man apparently had snuck what was invited by her 13-year-old daughter into the home, etc., etc. You know how that goes. Mom came to the door with a gun, knew the man was in there. She told him to leave. As the man was leaving out, she shot him in the back of the head and everything.
Ooh, I dropped
And
my
so,
earbud. I'm sorry, y'all.
and it was in Memphis, Tennessee. So, depending on the laws in Memphis, Tennessee, it's like, look, she did that in the heat of a moment. You might can argue she was intending to kill him. You might can't. It depends on what evidence will come forth in the trial and the courts and everything. But if she was in somewhere like South Carolina, North Carolina, she would might be looking at life. It depended
Yeah.
because it
but
was just straight up because he was unarmed. He was walking away. Yeah, I think he probably had his back turned because she shot him in the back of the head. And
Yeah.
again, I get the anger. A 20-year-old man with your 13-year-old daughter. I mean, yeah, anyone's gonna fly off and do something crazy. But
Yeah.
I do wonder how that's going to pan out. Just like with the man who got shot by that black woman in the parking lot. I just wonder how, because those are both black instances of black women shooting someone else. I wonder what's going to happen in those cases. So I'm
yeah,
curious to see how those pan out.
but then like in that South Carolina situation, this minor, he went into this convenience store.
Yeah.
Um, they thought he stole a water bottle. He didn't. Now the kid
hmm
did have a gun. The kid did have a gun on him, but he never pulled it out. They didn't know he had a gun. They
Right.
chased this kid out of the store. They chased him the length of a football field, and they shot him in his back. And he got off
That's
because
crazy.
and part of the reason that he got off is because the kid had a gun, but
Mm.
he never showed the gun. They didn't know he had a gun.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's an
Yeah, that
example
one. That one. I don't understand. I can't.
and the
That
dude
one I
has a
can't
history.
comprehend.
The dude has a history of shooting people. Like this
Yeah, I was
isn't the
about to
first
say
time.
Like,
he has a history specifically of shooting people, and he got away with it again.
Yeah, the verbal
Dang.
conservative. This happened a couple months ago. If you Google it, I'm sure the news articles will pop up. I can't remember any of the names involved, but yeah, it was a
Yeah,
shooting in
it
South
that to
Carolina.
me is I don't understand how he walked away from that because you ran after somebody and they never once like was trying to shoot back and shot them in the it wasn't front facing, it wasn't like it was a struggle and you were scared for your life. He was already out the store. It
The
that I can't
and then
I can't
the entire family chased him. I guess it was like a family owned store. The whole family
Yeah.
chased him. They chased this kid
like
100 yards.
for a
Oh, you
water
know
bottle
how?
it's crazy.
Do you know? Do you know how? Like, imagine that scene. We're talking about chasing a child 300 feet, sprinting 300 feet.
And then deciding to shoot him after and then he got off from it. It's like it's the clearest case of murder I've like that. It's such a clear case because
Yeah.
there was no instance where that boy was a threat to him in any sort
No,
of way. There was no imminent
When he,
threat to his
the
life.
moment he left, he was no longer an imminent
Yeah,
threat to them.
he should have just called the police. Just call the
and
police and say,
and
"Hey, this
uh,
kid stole something or whatever," and just have
but
them deal with him from there.
he didn't steal.
Yeah, no,
And that yeah,
they
that's
thought
right because
they thought
he
That's
he
what
thought
did.
he
makes it even
did.
crazier.
You're right. You're right. I can't forget that part. They thought he had stole something,
They
but he
thought he
didn't.
took a they thought he took a water bottle.
I mean,
Or and
it's
even if he
just
did, it's a water bottle. You
yeah,
trying to
over.
tell
Well,
me
yeah,
you
that's
should have?
yeah. No, it's like
Yeah,
there's no. It's
there's
it's so
nothing
crazy to me.
redeemed. Like, there's just across the board, every aspect of it, they made a wrong decision.
Like
Every
I
single.
I can't I can't. There's nothing you can do to justify what took place there or the ruling. I just unless it had to be some crazy technicalities in that trial that led to that man walking. It had to
Let's
be
see. Let me
because
figure
there's
out what his
no
name
way
was.
you can just shoot someone in the back and get away from it without there being some like loopholes upon loopholes and technicalities and different statements and it's just too much to you know
It was
to just
the guy's name was Rick Chow, and the kid he shot was 14. So let's see why he got off. Why did Rick Chow get off? Oh,
because yeah good
I was hoping. All right, let's see. NBC News found not guilty. He claimed he was trying to defend his son.
that's crazy
61 chased him.
yeah because he chased them. That's
Um
the thing. It's like you chase someone out of store. They're not trying to hurt you. The fact he was running away means that boy was not trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it's wild because that could have been any of us. That's the crazy part. It could have been our nephews. It could have been our cousins, whoever we have in
It
our
could have been
family members.
us.
Yeah, it could have been us. It could have been we just in there. We grabbed something and we put it back, and they think we stole it, and then they start chasing. They get a gun. If I'm in a store, someone thinks I stole something, they get a gun out. My flight or fight instincts are going to kick in. Either I'm
Yeah.
just going to say I didn't do anything, or I'm running.
all that, and it doesn't say what the reason.
How he got the not guilty verdict.
I think I'm going to have to go to our friend.
Oh no, not a friend.
I have no choice. Meta,
Mm,
I call on you.
Not
that's
meta.
just it. Don't say that out loud. We want to have some integrity here.
And that's what I'm doing. We are an honest, upfront broadcast.
Oh,
I can't
I mean,
message him
hey, I
because,
mean, at
all
least
right,
we're being honest.
why? Yeah, because that's one thing here. I'm never going to pretend that I know something I don't.
I
And I'm
got you.
never
I
going
got
to
you.
pretend that I'm not using means that I use to find out, you know? There's too much of that people trying to present themselves as experts when they're not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay to be honest about using an
Um,
I
AI to look up something you don't know and everything. As long as
as
you
long
and
as you're using it in such a way that that you're using verifiable sources. I don't care about
right.
people using AI. I need you to
Well,
learn how to
listen,
use it effectively.
as a
I
classroom
told you
teacher,
about the people I be
there's a
tutoring,
reason
right?
I don't. There's a reason why I don't assign homework. Is because I don't trust that kid could easily just go home, look it up on AI, get the answers, and bring it back to me. How's that going to tell me that this kid actually understands what an integer is or how to do one-step equations? Like, no, it. So that's why if my new boss asks me, "Hey, are you going to do homework?" I'm be like, "Listen, probably not. All right. Also, that's just more for me to grade. Okay." I'm,
Oh,
I,
y'all get asked. Y'all get asked to do homework. Listen,
Yeah, they don't make us like assign homework. Like the math teachers don't have to do it if we don't want to. We
oh,
just have to
okay.
make sure we're teaching the actual lessons. But I
Because
have parents
my
always ask, go ahead, go ahead.
my the teacher I'm assisting, uh she's like they don't they don't make it mandatory that I give them homework unless it's particularly close to testing time. That's the only time I give homework.
Yep, I understand. Especially when is it state testing or just unit testing?
Most of the time it's state testing.
That makes sense because our paychecks are on the line. So we're,
Yeah.
we're
so
pulling out all the stops.
two things. So first, the one thing I'll say in defense of my AI usage, I did try to Google it first and I did try to go directly to a source. The problem was the first things that popped up were a Facebook link, a YouTube video, and a Reddit thread. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not about to say something based off of those. Then the
Off of
next thing
Reddit.
then the next thing was NBC, so I clicked the NBC article and
And it's
it was
paywall.
Right.
after it well no, it was after the acquittal, but it just
Oh.
stated what happened. It didn't say why the jury. So then I got frustrated and I was like, well, you know what? I can just get a direct answer. And unfortunately, it is infuriating. So
Oh
basically,
God. Go
the
ahead, lay it on us.
jury the jury got him off. Pause.
Of course.
Andy, so basically what the dad and the son were saying is that the boy pointed the gun at them in the store, and they were basically maintaining that the dad was defending his son because he was in fear. Oh, the verbal conservative. Hey, thanks for staying with us all this time. You're the goat. Hope to
Oh
see you
yeah.
again. Do you have something specific I can oh, why is my phone blocking this? I can click on to follow. Literally, we have that on every we have links to click to follow on every platform but Kick. Um, but if you I don't know if you're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, but if you just search critically vibing as it's spelled here, will pop up. Actually, what am I here? Well, let me ask you this. Um what like platform do you like to use? Like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok? Or wait, is that TY or no, you're saying thank you. YouTube and Kick. All right, here we go. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm a boomer.
Not a boomer.
Oh, there we go. Ignore that first thing. Following on Kick, thank you. But if you want to see us on YouTube, we post like shorts and stuff. And that is the YouTube. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy the J.
Yeah.
You're the goat. Dopest
Appreciate you, man.
conservative I've talked to. Um, but yeah, so yeah, so basically they maintained that they were standing their ground and he was defending his son, and then the prosecutors were like, "Yo, he got shot in the back and they chased him 130 yards. How is this stand your ground? And you guys also can't prove that a gun was that he ever pointed the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Um oh, and then no, I was just about to mix up two cases. But yeah, so basically vibes,
That was it. That's the entire case.
vibes.
Yeah,
That's that's crazy. It's oh man, yeah, that's crazy.
incredibly infuriating.
I don't know. That one has you think I'm. You guys know I'm the furthest thing from a conspiracy theorist, but that one has me kind of thinking: was everybody just against this kid, like in the family?
That's why.
Um
That's why people say. That's why they say this is by far one of the most poor, one of the more poor decisions in court, in at
Yeah,
least for a black person in like a couple of years.
I was. Yeah, I was. You said black person, but I remember there was another case where
There was a
a
Carmelo Anthony case as well.
yep, and we can talk about that. But I remember it was a case where a
Oh no,
guy
it's
got.
already six something. We top. Let's go. I'm about to go. I'm about to go do something else. I,
I
yeah.
I'm
got you.
so
Yeah,
I
my
got you.
we hit
my,
the
my
three
attention
hour
span
mark.
is going out the window. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I started
Dang.
doing different shit now.
Yeah,
Oh my.
I gotta eat. And then also uh uh the old ball and chain, I've been out here too long. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, I feel you.
I hear you. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
this was great. We made, and hey, I've been telling you guys all this time. What have I been telling you guys?
You're gonna have to remind me. I'm not gonna hold you.
yeah, man. We let him down. He was setting it up too, and we just like, nah, I don't remember, man.
I'm not gonna
Conser-
hold you. I don't remember shit.
conservatives. There's good ones out there, man.
Oh, it's
oh,
not that. It's not that we never thought that there
yeah.
were. It's much more that like uh, it's much
It's
more that
refreshing.
the
It's refreshing to have him.
the MAGA is the loudest voice in the room. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
they become the representation. It's why at this point when you hear like liberals complain about leftists, it's because leftists are like the loudest in the freaking room.
Yeah.
They've become
Oh
the
my god.
insufferable liberals that they hate so much. So
That Fox
it's
News can clip Hassan for like put him on infinite loop, and then have every independent thinking that's what every single Democrat and liberal is like.
yeah,
And
it's
two, I was just gonna say, I know I spent the last couple days rage baiting the MAGA Christians because I let them
That
make
was
me
great.
mad.
That was great.
They,
oh
I
I'm so
look, when it comes to this content stuff, I try not to let personal things get me. But that is something that I've been wrestling with. I've been wrestling with that topic for so long, and I can't even
Mm,
remember what I saw that triggered me, that caused me to like. But they caused me to. I was on there reading scripture and everything, which I did not intend for these channels.
mm,
it
Um,
was it was something simple. Like it was that one video you did about. Can't was it
well, no,
about the?
something triggered me to make that video. I just can't remember what it
Oh,
was.
okay, I gotcha.
But this is what I'll say. Like, so outside of my, last couple days of rage baiting because I have a personal vendetta against MAGA Christians, what happened today, and really honestly, I'm more looking for like a left wing like unity. But like what happened today is like this is what I want. Like it just shows that like, and this is someone who said that they're a small government libertarian who
Hmm.
identifies as a
Yeah.
conservative. It just shows
Right.
that when you apply nuance and you just have regular conversations, you literally just find out that like when you actually explain things, you can have productive conversations and you agree on a lot more
Hmm.
than you think you do, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
Or even if,
it's
Hundred.
and even what I liked about him is even when it was stuff where you could tell he didn't disagree, he was like, ah,
Right.
that's not me, but I understand where you're coming from. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was refreshing because we're all I'm used to it at this point. Just MAGA, any conservative just being all those people that were like commenting on the videos you made, Evan, about MAGA Christians and treating immigrants right. I was like, what in the world? Like, but to finally like see someone who isn't that far gone, it is very refreshing. And I wish more of that was in government, because if more of that was in government, we could get a lot of good stuff done. You know.
Yeah. And notice that none of those people from the last 3 days felt the need to come here and say anything. And don't get me wrong, I'm not delusional. I know we're small, but a lot of those people sat on my videos and argued for hours. So if
Yes.
they felt that passionately about it and they're willing to do that, you can't convince me that if they felt safe enough to, they wouldn't come here and at least get a couple hate comments in. But they
Hmm.
didn't. And especially
No.
considering too, we may be on Twitch and Kick, but we're on YouTube too. And a lot of that hate posting was on YouTube. They can just click over. They don't even got to go to a foreign ad. So it just goes to show that they're down with sitting there and saying what they'll say in their in comment threads, but you don't want to come here
Hmm.
live action.
No,
Even though
they don't.
again, I
Mm.
know part
No.
of it is because we're small, but you can't tell me of all those people that spent all that
Not
time
one of
being
them.
mad at me. Yeah, not one of them
That's
wanted to
crazy.
come.
Well, yeah, because you did send that call out, having them come
Yeah.
on and say,
I know
"Hey,
at
look."
least one of them. I know at least one of them saw it because we're in their algorithm now. I know at least one of them saw it.
Which is
And
good. We want to be in the
if
algorithm.
yeah. But yeah, great stream, great conversation. Um I think we're good.
All
All
right.
right, y'all. See y'all.
See
All
We
y'all.
right.
did 3 hours this time, so that's we're doing real good, y'all. We did
Yep.
3 hours this time.
All right. I'll
All
talk to
right.
you.
See y'all.